there ain't no stopping us. Fly without boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to bronze. I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shoot. Yeah, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to bronze.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tottenham Away. It's Monday night, the best place to be in town if you're a Spurs fan. If you're not a Spurs fan, you're always welcome to our channel. Quick thank you to Sava. I know a lot of you just come over from Sava's channel or you're coming, so make sure you check out Football Heritage TV, like and subscribe to Sava's channel as well. Big up to our panel. We've got a good ugly mob tonight. Some people call us handsome. I'm going to go with ugly tonight. We've got Iggy, got Mari, got Maz, got Lee, got Ian making his debut. Let's say a quick hello to everyone on the panel. Ian, welcome to the channel, man. Long overdue. Good to have you on. How are you?
So, yeah, all good tonight. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the show.
Absolute pleasure, my man. Lee, how you doing? You must be enjoying the football break now. No kids football for a while. A little bit of a break.
I'm not going to lie. I had a sneaky 11 o'clock lie-in on Saturday, which is unlike me, but it was well overdue. But I miss it. They say you look forward to it, but I'm not going to lie. I do miss it. I do miss going out with the boys on a Saturday morning. But it is what it is. But now I'm living the Tottenham dream. Living the Tottenham dream.
And the negativity. The positivity begins. Anyway, talking about negativity. Maz, how you doing?
Here it comes.
We won a trophy, mate. You should be happy. We're in the
I'm
winner's
in the-
circle. We need to lap that up.
I'm in the mud. Stell's in the mud. We won a trophy. I'm in the mud.
Just going to put it next to the Audi Cup from last
That's it.
year.
No, last year was the Tiger Cup, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm stand corrected. All these trophies we're winning, I can't keep up.
Audi Tiger. Mari, brother from the USA. How you doing?
All right.
Is that it?
Who let him in?
It's boring, man. It's boring to be a Spurs fan. I got nothing else.
Do you know what? If we don't lose 50 subscribers in the next minute, I'll be stunned. We don't care.
I'm bored.
Iggy, you feeling a bit better, or are you down me as well?
Well, I had a good siesta this afternoon, so I was catching up with you guys, about your Sabbath stream earlier on. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Footballing wise, I've not quite got into the thick of things, as in watching the friendlies that we've been playing, partly because I've truly not been interested in them. But you know, I'm still well aware that there's still time before the transfer market closes. So I'm hoping between now and I don't know. I want to say before the last pre-season game, I think is that the 10th of August against Bayern Munich. I'm hoping we'll do a bit of business before then, because I'd hate to think we're going to go into the season with a current squad as it stands. I mean, I know the manager's saying, you know, there's time and all of that, but I always think you give the manager the best chance possible to bring in the players as early as you can, so you can start working with them before the season starts. But yet here we are now, what we are coming up to the 30th of July, just over 11, 12 days before the start of the last friendly, before the end of the last friendly. And there's not much movement going on. I'm hearing a lot of noise, a lot of tier 1, 10 and 13 and 15. A lot of players linked with. We know the players that we need. We're trying to ship out players but it's going at an alarming slow rate. And until this actually begins to move the way I like it to move, I can't get excited about anything that's happening with us right now. And I'm trying to put a downer straight away from you know, beginning of the show. But that's where my mindset and that's where my head, you know, that's where I'm at with it all at the moment.
Well, the title of the show is still no first team signings. So
yeah, pretty good summary. And that's a shield, guys. It's not even a trophy. It's a shield.
Fake charity shield.
A round trophy.
We've got over 200 people watching live. Smash the like, subscribe. Thanks for being here, everyone. Everyone in the comments, welcome to you all. Let's get into the whole signings thing, because it is the focus of tonight's show. There are some other bits I want us to talk about, but I want to go into something Ali Gold said. He put together a little thread. I'll read it out. I'll put it up on the screen as well. He basically said, Postecoglou on transfers. At this time of the year, it's pretty hard to support because they don't have all the information, and it's fair to say there's plenty of misinformation out there. We're working hard to bring players in, and it's a process that you sometimes have to be patient with. In terms of what we set out to do, that's still the plan, and you have to stay disciplined with the plan. Sometimes the timings don't work out, and it doesn't happen as quickly as you want, and you don't get them players in at the right time. I think it's really important you stay disciplined and not run off chase other things. So what we've started with at the start of the summer are still there, and I wouldn't want to put timelines on it. A lot of that is out of our control, and we just need to be patient, mentioning patience again. And then Ali Gold, and then Postecoglou finished up by saying, from where I sit at the moment, we're still in that phase where we identified is still what we are after. Now, before we talk about this, I just want to say two things. And I'll come to Ian first because you're the guest. You get to start. Ange Postecoglou said, we're going to challenge for a league title this year. He said he wants his signings in early. As it stands now, we're not challenging for a league title, and he hasn't got his signings early. So that media speech that he gave is fine, but that's not what you said to us. So there's a bit of flip-flop action here, and he's defending it. Secondly, this seems to happen to us every single season. Can't get it done early. Got to wait till the season starts. Lastminute.com. There's these panic signings that come in on the last day. Look, make of it what you want. I'm just going by previous, and I'm going by what Ange said. For me, it doesn't look good at all, and I don't think we're spending big. I really don't. But that's just my 2 pence thrown in. Ian, what do you make of it?
Okay, let's start. Number one, we have brought in 2 players into the first team squad, into the club this close season, who I believe within a few weeks will be first teamers in Gray and Bergvall. They will improve the team. Tremendous energy, tremendous ability. And I think because they're not, say, Eze and Tony, who are established, everybody's feeling a little bit down. We're all feeling a bit disappointed. We should be embracing these 2 signings. I think it's fabulous. We've got great kids coming through as well. So there's that to look forward to. And I do believe, and I know this is not what most fans want to hear, but if you look at projects that Klopp was involved in for 8-9 years with Liverpool, Guardiola's been there the same sort of period, Arteta's coming into his 5th or 6th season. You know, if you're building from where we were we when Ange came in, we probably have the worst squad overall. You look at ability in that squad. I had a chat before Ange, 2 months before Ange started July the 1st. End of May, after that season, a pal of mine said, how many players in that squad would you start with in the first team in August if they're still at the club? Stroke fit. And I said 3. Some we didn't know at the time had been crap the previous year due to an injury. And the 3 I picked were Romero, Bentancur and Kane. We have the most horrendous squad. That is being put right. First teams don't get put right in 1 or 2 windows. It takes several. So I think we've just got to be patient. And I know no one wants to be patient because we've had 23 years of this crap. And I fully understand that. But Ange hasn't been here for 23 years. He's been here for a year. So I think that they've started in the right way. They've got 2 great signings in Gray and Bergvall. Let's move on to what Ali Gold has just said. You know, the whole of the football world is not waiting for Tottenham. We are not in a privileged position where everyone bows down to us and we get our transfers done before everybody else. We're looking at certain players, read into what Ali Gold has said. Ange knows who he wants. Sometimes you can't get players because A, the fee is too high. And you're waiting for the timing. The closer it gets to the end of the window, a club might need the money. Other club that they're expecting other teams to come in for that player. They haven't come in, so we get him at a better price. That's one situation. The other situation is that if players have agreed to come, but the selling club wants to replace them as well, then we've got to wait until a replacement comes into play, comes into their club. And now this has been going for as long as I've known. You know, you can't just suddenly all of a sudden say, bang, let's get rid of 6 people. And all of a sudden you've got no one there. And then you're struggling. And then other clubs know you're struggling. So they smash the price up. So we've got to play it a little bit carefully. It's not as black and white as everybody thinks. I'm sure there'll be signings in. And the other thing that hasn't helped has been the Euros and the Copa America. And that's slowed everything down. So I think taking all that into account, that's how I read Postecoglou's comments through Ali Gold. Over to you guys.
I just want to ask one question before I move on to Lee. Because that's a very positive outlook on it, which is absolutely fine. Every fan has their opinion. You say that Gray and Bergvall will be first teamers for us. Who are they? So. Who is going to step out of the starting 11 and Gray and Bergvall come in?
Who do I think they will replace? Well, if the guys who played the last half of last season in Basuma and Madison don't get their act together, they'll be out. Because they're based on the last 3 or 4 months of last season, they're not worth their place. I don't think anybody can say they played well.
Because this has been the question I've been asking a lot of people. These kids, these youngsters, who are they going to replace? So you're saying Basuma and Madison. Lee, what's your take on it? What do you make of what Ali Gold's saying, and what do you make of the current business that we've carried out, and also what Ange previously said and what he's saying now?
I mean, this, to be fair, this stinks of Levy last minute kind of window, as we see in most years. I think we were pleasantly surprised sometime last year when he said, I'm going to take a step back, keep out of the negotiations, keep out of the transfers, leave it down to the team. But this just smells like he's involved in it just more than anything. I was the biggest advocate, a month or so ago, saying, look, if he knows who his players that he wants, he knows the kind of signings we can get in, because at the end of the day, the first hurdle you've got to get over is A, whether the player even wants to come to Spurs, and B, whether we can even pay his wages, because you can work out what their kind of wages they want. So if we've already ticked people off saying no, we can't have that. These are the type of players. We're also fixated on the Euros, expecting that we're just going to pluck people out of the Euros. But Ange is apparently the guy that finds people that aren't these type of players. They're diamonds in the rough and stuff like that. None of it's making any sense to me. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm very much, coming from a youth football, I'm very much. So I'm sort of with Ian to a point, but I'm not, because let's be honest, these youth players that we've seen, everyone's bigging them up, right? Everyone, even the under 21s. Most of these guys in the under 21s are not going to get minutes of football next season, again, because they've got to take someone else's place. Bergvall and Gray, so far, I'll be honest with Gray, from what I've seen, don't get me wrong, I think they're both.
Lee, sorry,
yeah.
We've also signed Timo Werner for a year as well.
I want to
throw him in because
you just brought it back
but he's a signing.
Almost threw up in my mouth. Sorry. Anyway,
but we can't ignore the fact that he's been bought.
We can't ignore it. We can't ignore it. It's a bit great. It's a great bit of business. So with these two guys, right? I'm worried about Gray because it's quite simple. We use him in a position that he's not. He's had good games while he's there, and he's definitely talented. Don't get me wrong. I can't say that he's not talented, but my questions will be, hey, who does he take your play? You can't just take a player who's on 100 Gray a week and got a 3-year contract and just get rid of him, or just sidestep, this 18-year-old that no one's ever heard of before this season's going to take your place. It just simply doesn't work like that. There's a hierarchy. But if it warrants him being put in there, then fair enough. I like Bergvall. I like the way he progresses the ball forward more than passing back all the time. And with Gray, I like what I've seen so far. I didn't like it as much when he moved into midfield, where he's supposed to be the place where he plays. He didn't look like he was doing as much. He certainly looked like a more low-lying defender, like a midfielder, like a number 6, which I did enjoy. I enjoyed watching him, the way that he read the game and with the pitch. So there's definitely something there with those two. But this is where I draw the line. I'm not going to make any assumptions whether they're going to take a first team player's spot based on watching them play two very average teams in a pre-season. Until they're doing it week in, week out in the Premier League against the likes of Rodri, Foden, then there's absolutely no benchmark here right now. So yes, they've got talent. I think they're going to be talented and I think they can do well. But until they do it week in, week out in the Premier League, I don't want to put that pressure on them. I don't want them to have that pressure because that could make or break them as a player, and they're still very, very young. So,
Maz, what's your take on it all? I know you're going to be pretty much not impressed by it all, but what one thing I would add to this, just listening to you guys speak, is that Man United have got a new part ownership, 25%, 30% new ownership that's come in, and they're supposed to be in charge of the footballing activities. They're doing a lot of business, and they seem to be getting the deals done, and they seem to be affording the players. And I look at them and I think, well, if we really know the players we want, why can't we move like them? Why is this happening? look, Ian's given his reasons as to why he thinks it is. I think we should have got at least 2 really, really good established players in by now. If I'm looking at what Man United have done, and we're the FFP Kings, and they're in the Europa Cup, same as us. So, what's your take on it, Maz?
There's almost too many points to bring up, so I'll try and shorten my response. I'm glad that we have brought in promising youngsters. I think that's a good thing to bring in talent around Europe into the club. However, what I can't get on board with is the amounts of assumptions that these talents are going to be involved in the first team, because I don't really think there's going to be any real evidence of that, and 2, that they're going to essentially hit the ground running if they do get incorporated into the first team. If we're absolutely truthful about this, Bergvall's come from was it the Swedish league? So we don't know how he's going to adapt to the Premier League. So there's whilst he does look promising in the friendly games that I've seen him, and that's another topic in terms of how good our youngsters are looking compared to our first team that I want to touch upon later. There's nothing that's suggesting to me that he's going to slot straight into the team, remove Basuma, Papasar, and Maddison out of that midfield, or even Bentancur when he comes back, assuming that he's still at the club when the season starts, and even a Lo Celso until we get rid of Lo Celso. So relying on a player like Bergvall to come in and uplift the team, I don't see the logic in that happening. And it's the same for Gray. Gray actually might have a more of a chance of getting featured, purely because if Emerson leaves, then we effectively have Jed Spence and Gray potentially covering for that position. So there's more
Gray
of a
right
chance
back,
we may see.
Maz? Is that his position?
He's I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really know what his position is because I've not seen enough of him. I've seen a few games of Leeds, but not enough to say I really know the player. And I don't want to judge these young players because I don't think any of us have seen enough of them. I think we're all, lying to ourselves and in assuming that we know exactly how these players are going to be like in our team. We haven't seen enough of them. So I agree with Lee that the expectations that some of the fans are putting on them is unfair to them. And it's also unfair to Ange in a respect, because when he does use them, I don't think we should expect them to come in and hit the ground running. It takes time for young players to come in and do well. It took Dele Alli time, if you recall. It took him a good 3, 4, 5 months to really start bedding into the team and playing well, and really establishing himself. And he was a wonderful player.
Well, prime example this week, right? Smith Rowe, Arsenal.
Absolutely, yeah.
2 years ago, he's going to be an absolute superstar. He's going to be great. See you, mate. Off to Fulham. That's not a step up, is it?
So
it's as quickly as you can be there. You can be there down, and we don't need to put that pressure on these guys. We really don't.
Right now, I've talked about this extensively, but Ange, he's old enough and theoretically experienced enough. I say theoretically because he's been in other leagues and different media environments and club boardrooms and stuff like that. But he should know how to manage people's expectations. He should be a master at that. And coming to the Premier League, where every journalist hangs off every word you say, as do the fans, you have to be very careful in what you say to the fans and manage your expectations, especially at a club like Spurs. So he's talked himself into knots. I'm going to be honest. You guys know I don't believe anything that Ange says, if I'm honest with you, because he contradicts himself all the time. 1 minute we're going to win the league, the next minute we want to get players to come in early, and we don't get them to come in early. You're better just not saying anything at all and just saying the players will come in when they come in. or something along, maybe not as basic as that, but something along those lines, and managing the fans' expectations. But he hasn't, right? And he also should be tempering the fans' expectations of the young lads as well. I'm not sure we gain anything from effectively thrusting a lot of them into the team, knowing that they're not really going to start when the first game of the season comes in. So I think he's creating a rod for his own back again, and I don't agree with it. I don't like it.
Got a super chat from James Allen. Thank you very much. He says Spurs have a minimum of 8 games in Europa, 3 games in 7 to 8 days, FA Cup plus League Cup and the Prem. Guys like Bergvall and Gray will definitely get some playing time. We're definitely going to find out in the not too distant future, that's for sure. Thank you for your super chat, Jamie. Mari, what's your take on it? Are you more leaning with Ian, who thinks, these 2 boys are going to come in, they're going to take place of Maddison, maybe Basuma, and it's going to improve us? Or are you more of the ilk that you're just not too sure of Andrew and what he's saying? Or is it something completely different?
Well, I was born and raised in New York City. And
here we go.
And as a kid, you are to learn, because it's a big city, New York City, you are to learn about bullshit. That whole comment that you read, and I read it a couple of days before, I don't care. It's bullshit. I hear bullshit every day. We're going through an election here in America. I hear bullshit every day. So
why is Andrew's comments bullshit, Murray? Why?
Because it's so many excuses. Well, if my grandma's left nut was hanging out and just, it's the Euros, it's Copa America. You got Arsenal signing your favorite Italian, Cannavaro, Iggy. They're doing business. You got Manchester City, right? Their players, Zerky played in the Euros. I mean, come on. Like, are we the only one who's allergic to not negotiating, during the Euros, right? Sava said it best, right? These players, they have agents, right? They pick up the telephone. It's all crap. It's all bullshit, from Ali Gold to his link to this player stuff. I'm telling you, it's like a simp to a woman, right? But the thing is, the woman is Daniel Levy and the board, and we're on the simp, right? We're buying this, right? Right? We're not seeing the truth for what it is. That girl's playing you, right? Levy and the board is playing the fans, and we're sapping it up. We're taking it all in. So when I hear these comments, I just laugh. It's nothing but BS, nothing but bullshit. Now, getting to the team, the actual team, because I can only talk about what we have today. Man, Ian, I like your optimism. And I've been on record saying that I'm already checked out. The season hasn't started, and I'm already checked out because I'm finding a hard time to be excited about anything. I hope you're right. I really hope you're right that Gray becomes Steven Gerrard or Frank Lampard, and Bergvall becomes Luka Modric, and Mikey Moore is the new Phil Foden or Cole Palmer. I really hope you're right, because honestly, we're probably going to finish 6th or 7th or 8th, right? If you're willing to accept that, and play these kids, who knows? They may turn out to be that way. But if you're willing to finish 7th or 8th and get these young players playing, cool. But if you're expecting top 4 with these kids, you're basically asking for a miracle. You're basically asking Gray to be Gerrard, Frank Lampard this season, along with Bergvall being Luka Modric and Mikey Moore or Lancashire being, you know, I mean, literally, you're asking for that. So, it's a whole load of BS to me. Let alone.
Still, can I just answer? Mark,
Yeah, go for it.
On one point.
Say whatever you want. You're
Okay.
free in this channel to speak.
All right. I'm not happy with the ownership. Let me make that clear. I want owners who put glory on the same level as profit. They've got to work together, and profit and glory normally correlates. Our biggest year in terms of profit was the year we reached the Champions League final in 2019, and you'd wonder why the owners don't realise that even after 23 years. So don't let anybody think I saw one or two comments on here, clapping Levy. That's rubbish. I'm completely the opposite. I want owners who love this club, have the same passion for this club as all of us do. And he doesn't know about football, and he only wants profit, and so do we, Nick. So for me, that's where I stand. But let me just say that in terms of, you mentioned about fourth place, we're not going to be fourth, we're going to be eighth. We missed fourth place by one match last season. And my opinion is that we had the players we had, but the reason why we missed it was because Ange played a ridiculous kamikaze 2 at the back and 5 in midfield, tried to change the wheel. I've never seen anybody play 2 at the back before in all the years I've been going to football since 1965. Never seen it. It's not going to work, and it's not going to work this season if he doesn't change, although there have been some subtle changes during friendlies. So I do think that we're not that far off fourth place. We were only 2 points away last season. And you look at the games we threw away. I mean, you just rattled probably 7 or 8.
But Ian, isn't that assumptive? You're essentially saying that Ange needs to change his ways for us not to repeat last year. And also last year, we hardly played any games. We had no European midweek football to deal with. Plus, the cup games, I think we played 1 game in the Carabao, 1 in the FA Cup, and that was it. We were out. So this year, from playing, I think it was 41 games, potentially we're looking at 55 games this season.
Yeah.
Where's the team for it?
Where's the team? Well, last year he hardly played any kids, did he? Hardly played them.
Are they ready to go and play in Europe to get us to the latter stages of cup competitions? And are they ready for that? Because against Hearts, they look great. They look really good. Against QPR, though,
sure,
it was good, did it?
No, listen, it's
QPR aren't. They're not Premier League.
It's one thing playing the friendlies we're playing, and another thing playing Premier League clubs. It's they're worlds apart. All I can do when I talk about Gray and Bergvall is how I see them as footballers. The touch, the control, the movement, the vision. We've all been watching football long enough. We can tell if someone can play football or not. You look at, to give one perfect example, Gareth Bale. Whatever angle, whatever speed you hit the ball at, he controlled it. He glided away with it. And Bergvall's exactly the same. And to me, Gray looked like that on Saturday when he went round 3 or 4 players. I genuinely think, and the other thing,
that off 2 matches.
No, that's fine, but you can. It doesn't matter. You can only judge them against the players they're playing against.
Yeah.
They're not playing Rodri and Man City. You can only judge them. You can only look at what they're.
Yeah, but you're saying they're going to replace Basuma and Madison in the Premier League.
I think they will.
As much as I think Basuma's had and Madison's dropped off, they can play. But we're talking about next season, though, aren't we?
Yeah, let's just say you're right. Yeah, let's just say you're right. But realistically, because even Yamal, for his season at Barcelona, had some highs and some lows.
Sure.
And so, finishing 4th, you're expecting a lot of highs out of these kids, which is almost realistically. I'm trying to find a young player that really had a great youthful season. I know everybody brings up Rooney, but Rooney was already on United, on a team that that has the heritage of winning. Everton, but still, what you're expecting from these kids, that pressure, They're going to have highs and lows. I can't see us finishing fourth. That's why I said, if you're going to play these kids, are you willing to accept, and I'm being kind, 7th or 8th? Because these kids are going to have highs and lows. I mean,
I don't think Ian's saying that though, Maury. In defence,
I think just to clarify where we're at, I think we will sign players between now and the end of the transfer window. I think we need to sign players. We need to strengthen the team. I can only comment on what I've seen up to now. I'm not a clairvoyant. I can't tell you we're going to sign this one and that one on the 28th of August or whenever. So we're just discussing where we're up to now, and where the team is now. We could buy 3 or 4, could buy 2. Who knows? Maybe not anybody. But I'm sure Spurs will buy players. I'm sure. But just to say, we weren't far off 4th place. And if he hadn't have played stupid zonal marking at set pieces, stupid 2 at the back, we're pushing fullbacks into inverted midfield areas.
He's not going to change that, though. He's not going to change that.
I think that there's some fundamental problems though that we can't escape from, even when we take stock of where we are today.
Maz, I don't want to steal your thunder. Just 1 second. I'm happy for it to move on to tactics and Ange. Let's do it. But initially, what I was putting forward was comments from Ali Gold that he posted that Ange said specifically about signings. We're now going into Ange and tactics. Which is
fair
fine.
enough. Let's get Iggy's opinion, then we'll crack on.
Yeah, Iggy, what was your take on it? And then we'll go. We need to talk about Ange and his tactics because it's key to everything, isn't it?
The thing is, for me, is the biggest issue here that even listening to everyone, it's the lack of clarity coming from the club and the direction. We talk about this direction and many a times. Is if we are to move forward with the young players, investing in young players, and using that investing in young players to when one day they become potential future Bales and basically players that go for nothing to world beaters. If that is the direction we wish to take, and we want to move in the likes of Bergwall and Gray, who right now they're showing a good players and they have margins of improvement. But then with that, I have to say you have to have the context of that. If you look at what is that noise, by the way, that keeps happening every now and again. I keep hearing this bell.
Someone's got a computer on with the messenger.
Ian's on speakers. I think it's on. It's his messaging. It's probably the wife.
Right. So
no, it's not me.
No. It's just I keep hear. I hear it. It's not regular.
Someone's computer's pinging whenever there's a message coming through on a tab they've got open. So that's what it is. Someone just needs to turn it off.
What I would say, you got to look at the context. A lot of these young players. You mentioned Rooney. You mentioned Rooney earlier on, and you coming into Man United, but he's coming to a side who's already very, very drilled with senior players. So they take a lot of the brunt for that. So the youngsters coming in, they'll come into a team that's already there. That's already present. It's already. The chances of you succeeding as a kid is far greater than a team like ours with a kid coming through. Who's going to be guiding that young player? Yeah, the young player has to show personality in the way perhaps in Dele Alli was mentioned earlier, to show his worth, and he has to have that in him. Of course he has, but Dele Alli was coming into a team with very established players like Eriksen, like Dembele. And all those wonderful players he had around him. So his growth and his aim to get into that team, to get established, but also in training every day, he'd have someone like Eriksen and Dembele that he can look to and say, wow, this I want to be in that mold. I look at Bergvall and I look at the likes of Gray, who's in that team that's established as a world beater, if you like, to say, that's the player I want to be in. That's the kind of player I want to aim. Madison's not quite established in this team. We've seen it. You mentioned earlier on Bissouma. He's trying to find his feet as well. It's not. So listen, if the project kids is the way we want to move forward. I have no problem with that. I just need to know by the club that this is the direction we wish to move towards, and then I can then decide as a fan, I'm in or I'm out of it. So that clarity for me is very much short, very much not coming forward. It's not forthcoming. So that's my gripe with the club per se. Whatever it is that we wish to move forward with, there's no clarity in that. For me, I don't, like I said, you have to have the balance. If you bring in a couple of kids, and we want to move forward with those, and we want to give them the chance, fine. But we need to then assemble them with some experienced players. And I'm hoping between now and the end of the market, those 2 or 3 experienced players, or established players rather than experienced, or mixture of both, come into the side to enable them to with success. And lastly, if we are going to go with the project young players, what was the point of Brian Hill? We brought him in. We said let's send him out on loan. We've renewed his contract. We've extended his contract to then send him out to Girona. What is that all about? I don't understand. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of things I don't personally understand. And for me, when I don't understand something and there's no clarity from a club who's supposed to make me understand, I become frustrated. And that's where the frustration from a lot of Spurs fans come from. It's the lack of clarity of which direction the club wishes to move forward to. Then I'm hearing it's because of I'm not digging you out, Ian, by all means. I've heard this quite a lot. There's always the reason why something hasn't happened. It might be the Euros, it might be the Copa America, but then I've got fans of Arsenal, Tottenham fans. They're thanking me for California. Arsenal fans are thanking me for California, like I had something to do with it. I got Spurs fans thanking me for Emerson Royale going to AC Milan. I mean, I don't understand. You see, we become bait of jokes and memes, and even from our own fans, because this is how Tottenham Hotspur is viewed, not only by Spurs fans, by opposing fans, but fans all over the world. Chiellini, for me, said it best a few years ago. This is the story of Tottenham Hotspur, one that's been repeated continuously for the last 25 years.
Conte said it.
Of course.
Conte said it in his rant. Everything he said was 100% correct.
And what's changed since? Even with the headlights on, saying here's the truth. Conte's the word of truth. He might be not being the best manager, but he spoke a lot of truth, like you said, post Southampton press conference. What's changed since that moment? Absolutely nothing. So what can change from my attitude towards this club? What can possibly change? Look, they're still so. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I just want to pick up on something you said before I forget it. I think this when we talk about Project Youth and we say things like, I don't mind if the club do Project Youth as long as they tell us. No, I mind. I mind a lot.
They won't never tell you. They won't tell you because they don't want the reaction.
Yeah, because not that I'm against having good young players coming in, then progressing and building a brilliant team like that. Of course, I'm not against that. The problem I've got with that philosophy is that we're 24 years into this project, right? And then they're going to ask me, okay, give another 5 years of your life to it. No, I can't. I'm sorry. Right, I'm not willing as a Spurs fan to give another 5 years to some project where the manager is likely to be sacked every 18 months. It's never going to work at Spurs because Levy cannot stick to a plan and he makes it up as he goes along. So I think we need to be really careful when we say statements like that, because I don't think it's okay to go down Project Youth. I really don't think it's okay to do that. We need to buy in quality players because we haven't bought in quality players since the days of Klinsmann, Van der Vaart, Ginola, and those types. And every quality player every quality players that we have bought in has almost not, I don't want to say by accident, but it feels like it's by accident to a sense, Modric, Bale, Berbatov, because we haven't been able to go out there and repeat that, right? And what Levy's doing is he's hedging his bets. He's buying all these young talents, right, and hoping that in another 2-3 years they're going to be the next Kane, the next Bale. Which, fine, obviously I understand the economics of it, and that's a method of generating profitability, right? But you're
That's one
playing
part
with
of it, though, isn't it?
yeah, it's just one part. You know, it's the point Ian made. It's at the behest of glory, and I'm not down with that. I'm really not down with that.
As would you be okay if we did Project Youth integrated into Project Oven Ready? So you're
You've got to
signing
do that still.
Yeah, I'm saying if we did both at the same time and integrated it into the first team simultaneously, would you be happy with that? But
yes,
then
but
that wouldn't be
don't
6 or
believe.
7 kids. It'll be more likely 2 or 3. If we're
But here's another fundamental problem I've got an issue with. Right, I don't believe that Andrew's actually making these signings. I really don't believe it, because there's.
I think the Korean guy is probably an Ange influenced one, because he does know that market, doesn't
right?
he? And
when I say that, I don't mean every single player is not Ange signing. No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is there's too much external influence from the club into who we're buying in.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, I can't get to grips with Timo Werner being signed twice by Spurs. It makes no sense, because if it is Project Youth, then why are you bringing in Timo Werner who can't cross and he can't score?
Because in a year's time, Maz, when Werner goes back, Mikey Moore's in full time.
Yeah,
There's a strategy. I know it's rare at our club because we don't plan going forwards. We should have had a centre forward lined up for when Kane went.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nothing.
But then, Ian, what damage will happen by having Timo there, who's going to miss big chances, who's going to miss scoring goals, who's got poor shooting accuracy? I say what you're saying, but this stopgap is what we were told last season about Timo. Now he's come. It's another stopgap.
I wouldn't have brought Werner back. For me, he didn't do enough while he was playing last season. Nowhere near enough. Waste of time. Total waste of time. Waste of a
third highest earner at the club. Third.
Let me ask you guys a question then, because Mikey Moore, listen, from inside the academy, they don't just rate him highly. He's going to have a career in this game. Whether it's at Spurs or another club, he's going to have a career in professional football. He's that good. And at what level, we'll find out. You can't say what he's going to be in 3-4 years' time. You can't. But he's got all the makings of it. There's no doubt. Would you guys be happy with Timo not being at Spurs and actually Mikey Moore, he goes in now and he gets those minutes? Because we've still got Solomon there. Would you guys be happy with that? Or are you thinking, no, that doesn't work. He's too young.
It's a bit like when
you're in the middle of the road and you've got a right turn to make and left turn to make. Do I take the right and find out something new? It may be good, it may be not, but it'll be an adventure. Or do we take the same old routine, seen and tried and tested? We're not going to learn anything, but it's a more safer route. That's where you're at.
I'm going
Mikey Moore or Timo Werner?
Is Timo a safe route though?
No, it's safe route in the sense of what you're going to find out in the player. There's nothing new to find out about Timo Werner. There is nothing new there's nothing to see other than what you've already seen. And we saw it at Chelsea, we saw it at Leipzig, we saw it in on loan this year with Spurs. So what am I going to get from him next year that I haven't already seen previously?
Okay.
Mikey Moore, a young talent, it might work, it might not work. It may succeed. You don't know what level it's going to be at, but I'll enjoy finding out. I'll be more bored with that.
If we sign a striker and play Son on the left, then we don't need to bring Timo.
Listen, I agree, and I know the name Chiesa keeps coming up and stuff like. Listen, for me, once you start doing things like that, it's a bit like flipping a coin, right? It might come through, it might not. But you have to also know that there's going to be a knock-on effect on that, and that knock-on effect is going to be where you ultimately end at the end of the season. That's going to be between the way I see it right now. We're no different situation, if not worse, with the amount of games that we're being added on to what we're going to be end up. So we're going to be in that 4th, 6th, 7th bracket. That's the area, that Europa League area zone. Let's call it that. That's where we're at. We're not going to be anywhere different at the end of next season than that lot there. I mean, 7th or 8th might be a little bit of a push, but I can understand Murray's faults. I get it. It can happen, but that's the area. So if we wish to kick on which is what I would like us to do. Kick on, at least challenge for those the Europe of Champions League I'm talking about. Those areas, we need to do something more. But as it stands, we're there, and that's where we stand. But if we are going to bring in young players, we want to bring in talent, but we get them on cheap and then sell them on. If we're going to become that club, because that to me is a bit more like how we're moving, then I have to you bring back the question of why did we need to move out of White Lane to bring this new stadium? We were promised that this new stadium was going to bring us a whole load of things, which it has, but not involving in football. It's brought us a lot of other things, but never has any influence for the first team. So,
but Project Youth, like bringing in youth players on its own is not enough. You need to have quality players in the starting 11, as you guys
to
out.
Increase the percentage of success. Of course you do.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
But without that, then they're finding their own feet. And like I said, some kids will swim, some kids will sink. But it's not in football. It's in life. In any working world, it's going to be like that.
As Ian said earlier in the show,
1%
right?
of kids make it.
Yeah, but as Ian said earlier in the show, there's probably only 3 decent players in the whole squad. What was the players you mentioned, Ian? It was.
I'm going back to May last year, 2023. For me, it was Romero, Kane, and Bentancur. You had Lloris, who was finished, Sanchez, Dyer, Longley, Davis, Skip, Højbjerg, who great, terrific professional, but not quite at the level I want to see in our midfield. Who do we have up front? I can't remember. We're obviously with Kane and Son, but it wasn't great, was it? The squad wasn't particularly great. So for me, you had Romero, Bentancur, who unfortunately got injured at Leicester, and Kane. Now, for me, one of my bugbears with Ange, there were 3 that I thought Ange let himself down last year. And I'll sort of see, going from this conversation for the first one, was not playing kids. When I looked at Kobe Mainu, was it Connor Bradley, Lewis Miley, Henselwood at Brighton, who scored that cracky goal against us just after Christmas. And it goes on and on and on. And we're the only team. We've got a most fantastic academy set up. The teams are winning trophies and Ange isn't playing any of them. It was absolutely ridiculous. And we're watching garbage week after week after week. Let me go back. No one's mentioned Donnelly. No one's mentioned Donnelly as a kid. Terrific, fabulous left foot. He's shown in patches in the friendlies just how good this kid's going to be. He's going to be superb. He will be a first team player for Tottenham. He's on the bench. We're 2-1 down at home to Villa and West Ham at home in November and December last season. He takes Lo Celso off after 70 minutes. He puts Skip on instead of Donnelly. And then he throws Donnelly on when we're trying to save a point at the Etihad in the 90th minute. We should have been playing kids a lot more. Throw them in. We went to Wolves after the injury when Romero's suspended and Mick is injured. And he plays Dyer, who had no future at the club, and he leaves Phillips on the bench.
Yeah. We said all of this, Ian.
Plays Dyer and Davis.
See, the thing is, right, is I'm with you, right? If Ange came in and trusted in some of the quality youth that we've got coming through, rather than playing players that we know are leaving the club or have no interest at being at Spurs, we might have qualified for the Champions League, and we'll be singing his praises, saying, wow, he's integrated the youth for the first time, blah blah blah. But the issue I've now got is okay, fine, he's trying the kids out, but there's no real quality in our starting 11. And let me the quality of players I see in our starting 11, right, that really proven quality for me is Vicario. I think he proved everyone wrong by how good he was. Porro and Son. Everyone else, unfortunately, Van der Ven is there, but let's not get too carried away. It was first season.
Romero.
Well. Let's see. And Romero, right? I'm not going to put Adogi in there, if I'm honest, right? Because he had some nightmare games as well, right? But I want to see what happens in their second season before I put them in that category. So we've got 3 or 4 players that are very good, but they're nowhere near what we've had before in the past. And I'm not confident that this team is going to be as competitive as it even was last year, because every one of our clubs above us and even below us have strengthened, and we haven't. And we're relying now on some big players coming in to almost save our transfer window. And I think that's an awful situation to be in, because we're absolutely repeating the mistakes of the past. And the likelihood is, and I predicted this in actually long time ago, before Christmas, everyone thought that we were going to have a good summer transfer window, and it's panned out almost exactly as I predicted. We probably won't do the business we think we're going to do. And if we do sign Eze or Tony, and we're spending 50, 60 million for each of those players, maybe even more, I'll be gobsmacked if we do, because we know what Levy's like. He's building a hotel at the moment. You can almost guarantee that, you know, the budgets that he's given every department is probably a shoestring because of that reason from a business perspective, which is why, and it makes sense because we're operating in this, you know, we're meant to be the FFP kings, aren't we? You know, we last year our record revenues and things of that nature, and we're not willing to go out and put the money on the table to sew up an Eze even before the Euros, or even progress the negotiations to the point where we're confident in signing a player. Chiesa almost seems like we're going in not because we plan to go in for Chiesa, but it's an opportunist move to go in for him rather than a move that's been planned. Hence why we're hearing these stories come out about his wage demands. That sort of stuff, if you're really going after a player, doesn't come out because they're already sewn up. It's already pre-agreed. So we're repeating all the mistakes of the past.
For me, so sorry, just real quick, Murray. For me, the biggest thing is not addressing from a previous season the shortcomings that we had, not addressing them this summer for the new season. I understand, and I am willing to play it out. Although for me, guys, I'll be honest with you, the white hair on my face and on the few that I've got left on my head tells me I've seen this film before and I know how it's going to pan out. But for the sake of, you know, argument, I'll be willing to be a bit more patient to the end of the transfer market. But for me, the football, the criminal thing you can do in football is never to address in the new season the shortcomings you had in the previous season. You mentioned earlier on about the goals that we conceded from set pieces and corners, not to bring in players with a bit of physical stature to kind of help out with that would be massive for me, not to address that. So for me, we need to be physically bigger players that we bring in with that mold, knowing fully well that we're going to become under the cosh in certain situations. Not to address.
You got him. He's there. He's there. Dragosin. He's there. You just play a back three. Radu Dragosin.
Yeah. We'll get on to We'll get on to Dragosin as well. We will at some point, if we get, I'll add on add Dragosin as well. For me, but he can't be the only one, and we have to have a bit more presence, physical presence in certain situations. The other, you know, the goals, you know, the front three don't guarantee you enough goals for this team. We conceded too many anyway, but we don't score enough. So the number 9, as you mentioned earlier on, Kane, we haven't really addressed that situation. Richarlison's not the answer. Johnson, Werner, they don't have enough goals in them. Certainly not the amount of goals that we can expect from them during the season. Not to address that. The digger in front of the defence, not to address that. There's a few things that we are not addressing early on because we knew last season, essentially, if we didn't know at the beginning of the first half of the season, we certainly knew the second half of the season where those shortcomings were. How we cannot address that. As soon as the season ended, we should have just gone bang, bang, bang. 3 players to help say, do you know what? We've seen the issues in that scenario. We're already making amends with it straight away. But we need to move ahead of the competition because we don't have the name of the Man United. We don't. Man United, for as rubbish as they've been, the name is a massive attraction. So we have to move, in my opinion, given the position, we have to move early. So we are ahead of the competition. So within our structure, we need to have people, Flange, or whatever his freaking name is. What are these people coming to do, by the way? That's another question that we need to move early and bring them in to say, you know what, we're always a step ahead of the competition to address those shortcomings and then start slowly making amends with the rest of the squad. But we don't have, Ian, we don't do any of that ever. We don't move quick on that. We have a slow process. And that for me would always be an issue at Tottenham Hotspur. That I'm sure, JJ, I apologize that I'm depressing you, but for me, these are the factual points. I know it should. But the thing is, this is how long here at Tottenham away have we been speaking about all these problems, and we are relatively like, a channel of 20,000 that we are talking about this over and over again. So I don't see that ambition at Tottenham. I don't see it, and nothing has convinced me to make me think that we're change.
Let me bring in Murray. Yeah, of course, Murray, go on, and then we'll bring in.
Just to add on to that, is going back to this youth project, right? And you look at the perfect examples, because the thing that frustrates me about this club is the vision and the actual plan. You take a young player like Cole Palmer, who shined at Chelsea, but you look at his years at Man City, looking up to the Agueros, the Fodens, who are already ahead of him on the team. And now you look at one of their other youth guys who they might sell, Oscar Bob, right? Oscar Bob, I've just seen him play the other day. He's learning from these players, Raheem Sterling before he went to Chelsea. They put him in an environment for these young players to flourish. You can't.
Mari, they put him in an environment of you got to look at the context of the team. Sorry to interject. You got to look at the context of the team. Players like Oscar Bob is a talent, absolutely talent. But look at the context that he's coming into. Look at the manager, the way he plays. It suits his characteristics. He's playing with champions around him. He can only go one way. The success of Oscar Bob solely relies on Oscar Bob himself.
Yeah,
because he's got everything around him that works. It's got to be on him.
And he has players to look up to. Now, I will say this: with the Yang signing, right, with Sonny being there, right, Yang could look to Sonny as a mentor, as a role model, right. When he comes in January, right. Unfortunately, he's not going to be here. He's going to come in January. That's the only positive thing I could look at Yang in the sense of, okay, Sonny. My Yang is Korean, right? He's Japanese.
No, it's Korean.
He's Korean. So he looks up to Sonny, right? And to emulate, what he's doing on the team, work ethic and whatsoever. So, that's a positive. But for the rest of these young players, they don't have, right? You got Basuma, right? Who, in my opinion, was lackadaisical at times last season. Kind of quit on us. So you ask a kid like Gray to look up to that is just like, it's really a tough situation, right? Because you don't see a good example. And so that's why it's frustrating in the sense of, okay, we want to push these youth in, but what are we pushing them into? What type of environment, as Iggy says, are we putting these young kids to put in? And lastly, I'll say this, I'm not put my hands up, but honestly, for me, I would rather roll the dice with more than Timo Werner. I already know what I have in finished product. I'm on board of top 4. So you might as well throw the kid, throw him into the pool, see who has. I'm to that point. I mean, it would be nice if we sign someone so more can look up to and emulate. But I'm to the point of let the kid play. Let the kid play. I'd rather see him play than Timo Werner. That's just me.
Mario, I'll go
Lastly,
even further than that. I go even further than that. And listen, Ian, this is where I am with these kids as well. We don't have the infrastructure in our first team for them to latch onto. That's what worries me more than anything. I've got no doubt that they've got talent. It's just embedding them into a team, chucking them in and say, drive the boat is the wrong way of doing it. You need someone to teach them how to drive the boat, for then they can take it over when they're ready. That's how I see the youth players coming through. We just don't have that infrastructure. But I go even further, Mari, and say, listen, the way that I don't want to have to do this, but 20 minutes of watching Gray play in a defensive midfield position has given me more. I'd rather him play over Basuma, who's playing out of position as a 6, because I see that he reads the game better, doesn't go flying up the pitch, stays back and covers when we're playing this 2, which I hate. I hate this tactic just as much as you do, Ian. I absolutely despise it. Having him there makes me more comfortable than having Basuma.
Yeah.
Again, and even same with Mikey Moore. If you ask me Mikey Moore or Werner, I'm going to have to say what I've seen so far is I see more talent and technique in Mikey Moore than I do in Werner. But
all day long,
day long. If you stick him, the difference being is though,
God.
what I've seen is only against the types of teams where we're talking about League One, League Two, at most J-League champions are probably championship kind of league. Because if you watch, I know we're going to get onto this as well, but if you watch the Hearts game back, the QPR game back, right? Lower league teams, QPR's second half against our youngsters was basically their youngsters as well. But if you then look at the J-League, the game against the J-League champions, for the first 10 minutes, I enjoyed watching the youngsters play much more than I enjoyed the first team play. But you watched the last 20 minutes, they were penned back for the last 20 minutes. And that's that type of pressure, plus 50% is what they're going to get in the Premier League every week. And that's what I can't get excited right now, because that's what I need to see them under pressure of. Because they were really, it looked like the Tottenham of old. They were getting pushed back, just like we were used to with the first team.
Lee, you're going to have Romero there. You're going to have Van der Ven there. You're going to have these boys there playing. You're going to have Richarlison up front, closing and pressing, and being a total shithouse. You're going to have Udogie back. It's going to be a different team.
Yeah, but you see now
it will be. But that doesn't change It doesn't change the fact that we're still going to be in the same position as we were. This is exactly what we saw with those players last season, at the end of last season. But now you're saying with 2 18-year-olds are going to make the difference. I don't see it. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Well,
not right now.
For me, I tell you what makes the difference more than anything is a change of system.
We're now on the same page. It's the system more than anything.
Can you imagine what Conte would have done with Romero, Dragusin, Van der Ven, and Porro and Udogie as wingbacks? That would be his dream.
Everyone wanted Conte out, though. Everyone wanted Conte out. We sat here.
I didn't want him out. Do you know why he played?
But most 9 out of 10 Spurs fans wanted him gone. The tide turned completely against. Well, we agree with you. We were one of very few channels that defended the guy. But that shit.
We defended the guy, but we didn't defend the football. I certainly didn't. I didn't defend the football that I was seeing at Spurs.
Iggy, why did he play with a low block? Why do you think Conte and Jose played with a low block?
I mean, I get it. We were shit. We were shit. He couldn't rely on that defence. He was playing low block. He thought if we cut out the space behind us, we got enough about us going forward that we can nick a goal. Listen, I get the thought process.
And look what happened when Conte left and they played 4 at the back at Newcastle. We're 5 down in 21 minutes.
We were getting absolutely annihilated. But the other thing I will say this about the young players, and I forgot to mention it earlier on. For me, guys, and I have to be, because we still will know he's been at that stadium as well many a times in the season at home. For a kid, I'll be honest with you, given the atmosphere, if you like, the sense of listen, as fans are desperate for some level of success, i.e., trophies. So it's not an easy place, Tottenham Hotspur, right now, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, to play in and be successful, or to not hear the murmurs when you miss it the first pass without in 10 minutes, or if we concede a goal after 3 or 4 minutes, which is what we did last season. I can't remember was it Luton at home. You know, I remember it vividly, man. The atmosphere became toxic in a matter of moments. So these kids have to have a level of character about them. I'm not just, it goes beyond any technical. They have to have something within them to overcome those difficult. And believe me, I've been in that crowd. It ain't easy because we are our worst enemies as fans. With the amount of shit that we can chuck on our players and expect them to deal with that. That for me is a big factor. The other thing I want to say about the manager, I'm hearing a lot of talk. He was doing this in the last season as well, and it seemed to have started off this season and same old. It's just like, for me, it's I like Danger. And first, I thought I loved his over positive attitude, but the comments since, you know, it's almost like it's forever moving goalposts. It's in the expectations, in what he's saying. It's forever moving it, and I'm not too sure if this. I'm really questioning what comes out of his mouth. How much of it to listen? How much of it to say, stop chatting shit? And the last thing you mentioned, Ali Gold. I mean, Ali Gold, for me, when I've started doing this, he was massive. Reading his stuff was huge before I started. Now, since I've been doing Tottenham Away, slowly, I'm starting to listen. This guy is just like, he moves, you know. It moves with the wind, and I don't understand. Like, if Ali Gold, I don't know how much I can listen to him or read about his stuff anymore without, almost as if I finish that article, I'm like, whatever. And this guy, for me, was like almost like a god in a Spurs world, because he's got all the, he's the original ITK. And now I'm reading his stuff, and I'm like, I don't know if this guy now has just realised, a bit like us, how full of shit we are, and he's just doing it as a job, and he's just trying to sell it onto us like as if he's doing a job, or if he really believes what he's saying and what he's writing. Me digging him out, it's not. Maybe it probably is digging him out a little bit, but I'm just thinking, like, just be a little bit more relaxed and real with what you're saying, and just level with us as fans. I don't feel like he's connected with us anymore.
He's a mouthpiece.
He can't. He's a mouthpiece for the club. I'm sorry, and he's an absolute mouthpiece for the club.
I just can't connect with her anymore when I read his stuff. That's how I find it. As a fan, I'm talking about nothing personal.
I just there's something I just wanted to jump on. It was this comment here. Stel, you moan about the youth not getting a chance. Then when the club goes in that direction, you moan the club can't. You moan again.
What direction? We've been talking about direction all night. What direction has our club taken?
See, this is taken out of context, twisted and spun. What I said last season was, there were games like when we were 4-0 up against Newcastle with 10 minutes to go. Bring on the kids. Bring on 3 or 4 of them and let them play. There were moments last season where we were in complete control of games. It's over. Let the kids play. And we didn't do it. That's what I meant about they're not getting a chance. When the time was there, the moment the opportunity arose, we didn't do it. And I also said, if we're going to do a youth project, last season was the season to do it, because the fans are fed up. Ange is new. We were told it's a rebuild, a reset, a respin, a reload, a re-this, a re-that, a rewash.
Absolutely.
Tell the club, the fans, we're doing Project Youth. And then when we take the hits, because these kids will take the hits becoming men in the men's game, and we get spanked and we get tonked, that's where they're going to learn. That's when we're going to find out what they're really made of. When we finish 8th, 9th, 10th, we won't get upset, because we've been told this is the plan. We didn't do that. We went for top 4.
And we still got spanked.
Ange said, I want to win. He had a go at us for wanting us to lose to Man City and not give Arsenal the title, remember? So we had the chance to do Project Youth. It was last season. The season ends, and then Ange says, I want to challenge for the league next season. So this Project Youth is an absolute myth, because, listen, I've coached for 12 years, man. If you want to bring through a wave of kids, You need to be prepared to lose for 2 or 3 seasons. I take you to Arsenal. Arteta brought through Smith Rowe, Saka, Willock, Nelson, Nketiah, Balogun. How many are there doing it right now? How many? One. This is the reality. This is the reality, people. So if Spurs want to bring in 6, if we hit gold, 2 land, 2 really take off. So this Project Youth is for the absolute birds. It's a nonsense. So I'm for giving the kids the chance. I love youth football. I went to the under-21s Cup final. In fact, I think you were there, Ian. I'm sure I bumped into you.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
At Fulham, we lost 3-0. Right? I love the youth.
4-0.
4-0. Well, we walked out 3. We gave up. We walked out 3.
We got murdered.
So there's only so many hits I can watch. But, you know, I love the youth. But if the club are going to go in that direction, then it doesn't make sense now. Not if we're here to win. We're here to challenge for the league next season. That rhetoric doesn't align. And that's the point I was making. If we can bring through 1 or 2 kids, I'm just going to say Mikey Moore and Bergville, and they become our next Kane, our next Ledley, our next Bale, guys, I'm in heaven in terms of seeing some youngsters make a mark. But I don't buy into we're going to bring in Donnelly, Tyrese Hall, Valiz, Phillips, Moore. They're all going to come. We're going to light up the stage. Angie's doing... No. Man United will destroy us. Arsenal will destroy us. Man City will put us to bed. It's for the birds. We need to bring in quality. That's how you teach the kids. I totally agree with Iggy. That's how you teach the kids. That's how you keep your existing top talents. If you want to keep Romero and Van de Ven, bring an established talent. And if we want to raise the levels now, bring in the quality. You've got to bring in the quality and develop the youngsters alongside. 2 or 3 at most will break through. This Project Youth, listen,
it
doesn't work.
This is what I'm saying, right? There's too many holes. Sorry.
Listen, Ian, if we can bring through 1 kid that makes it per year, that is phenomenal.
That's what Ferguson used to keep. Alex Ferguson used to keep 1 place in the first team for a kid to come through. That was always his aim. Whether it actually happened. I mean, he started off brilliantly with 5, didn't he, after 6 years? But can I just come on to just a few points that you guys have made? Firstly, it's funny, I smiled. You mentioned Oscar Bob. Donnelly beat Oscar Bob to PL2 Player of the Month. And that just shows you the level that Donnelly is. But Bob came in to a team of winners with a winning mentality. And the difference between Spurs and Man City is that, like in any business, the mentality comes from the people at the top. And if the people at the top are desperate to win, it works its way all the way down. They might not necessarily get there, but that's what they're aiming for. Secondly, in terms of buying established players, let's look at the Big 6. Let's look at the record transfers for the 6 clubs. Chelsea, was it Caicedo? 115 million. And I'm not saying that.
Ian, Chelsea's an absolute joke. Under this new owner, he's a cowboy.
I'm making here,
absolute cowboy.
No,
he's worse than leaving.
Right, but the points I'm making,
which is hard.
Yeah, the points I'm making here is ambition. I'm not talking about know-how or knowledge, because they're probably just as bad as our owners. So Chelsea's 115. Arsenal, Declan Rice 105. And they buckled. West Ham said we want it over 2 payments, not 5. It held the transfer up, I was told, for 6 weeks, but they got it. And Arsenal wanted him, and he was, Arsenal guaranteed top level performances. You buy an elite player, you get elite performances. So you've got Chelsea at 115, Arsenal at 105, City have bought Grealish at 100. I mean, they bought, you want to put Grealish to one side. There's what's his name? There's Croatian boy who plays left back. They bought from Leipzig. Who's the defender? 88 million.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He's with them. I know who you're talking about. Sorry, off the top of
88 million. I just had a mind blank. 88 million there. Liverpool spent 85 on Nunes. Okay, maybe not the best, but he could come good. And he's a class act. I mean, he was brilliant for Benfica there. Who have I missed? United, not so great. Anthony, 85. But again, United show ambition. We're 54. We're 31 million less with Ndombele. And that's been used as a reason not to go and spend the big money on players, I believe.
Yep.
So are we going to spend 60, 70 million on players? Who knows? Maybe one. Maybe there'll be one. Maybe it'll be Eze.
This is what
Probably
is
not, but that's
saying
why.
this.
If they're not going to buy these established players because they're risk averse. Everything about Eni. I'm not saying they are bad people. I'm not saying they're bad businessmen. They are risk averse and they never go the full way with our club. And all I want is for our club to be competitive. I want us to be in the game. We're not guaranteed any trophies. No one's guaranteed trophies. Just be in the game. We're being charged the highest prices worldwide to go and see our team, and we're not having the best players stuck in front of us outside of Kane. I'm sorry, and I'm sure I speak for everybody with that, but we're not.
Absolutely.
But if we're not going to spend the big money on these players, if we're not going to go, Liverpool had a problem at centre back and with their goalkeeper. They went and spent 140 million on Alisson and Van Dijk. Okay, they were fortunate they used that. Of that 140, they got 105 for Coutinho. So it's smart business. The two of them cost 35 million.
We got 100 million pounds for Harry Kane.
Can I say something? Let me say something.
Well, we got 86, and we spent 47 of it on Brennan Johnson.
Ian. I'm
just saying. But there was no centre forward lined up. If you're getting 86 million for Kane,
Ian,
just turn around and say, "There's another 40 million. Go and get Osimhen."
I've been saying this for the last 3 years, right? I was going on 3 seasons ago when Kane was vying to go for Man City. We've not got a plan to replace him, which is why we held on to him.
No. We were told that we'd already replaced Richarlison from the previous season.
Can I say something?
Yeah, then hold on. Then when we signed Richarlison, when we signed Richarlison, I said that is Levy's replacement for him, because there's no way Levy would have spent 65 million on a player if he wasn't going to be to replace Kane, right? And Kane stayed for another season, and then he left, right? In the meantime, I've also been saying they've got no bloody plan for Son. So what they've done is they've gone and bought an 18-year-old kid that might take 2-3 years, right, to become good. All we know, it might take longer. He might never make it. But again, there's no succession plan. They do not plan, aside from business, they do not plan for the football. Everything is by accident, right? And what pains me, right, is you can see it in front of you with your own eyes every time a situation happens. As an example, right, you said it. We sold Kane, right? And what did they do to appease the fans? They went and bought Maddison, thinking, oh, well, we need a marquee player to go and buy Maddison. The problem with that is, and I'm going to be honest, I was for buying in Maddison because he was better than what we had, right? But Maddison has proved, as to what the Leicester fans were telling us, he gets injured every season. He disappears for half the season, right? And they really are relying on Richarlison to save the day. And he's Andrew's come in and realised, actually, apart from Richarlison's little purple patch, is rubbish. Again, there's no forward planning. If we were really serious as a club, and I agree with everything you said, Ian, if we were really serious as a club, we would stop doing the same things we've been doing for 24 years, because this is not the first time we've tried Project Youth. We've done it before, right? We've actually done it 2 or 3 times, and we do it for a year or two, then we stop because we get another manager in, right? Then it restarts 5 years later. We do it for a year or two, then it stops. Then it restarts 5 years later. So there's no point doing this Project Youth because they're not willing to see things through. They never have done. So why do we think it's going to be this time round after 24 years that they're going to carry on with this Project Youth? They're not going to, because what will happen is they'll do it. They'll realise they're not willing to take the pain by finishing 8th, 9th, 6th for 2-3 years in a row, right? And then they'll sack the manager and they'll get another manager in who doesn't want to do Project Youth anymore. So hold on, I'll wrap up, I promise. So to back up what you're saying, Ian, I 100% agree with you. Everyone on this channel has been saying exactly what you've said now for the last 4 or 5 years. We've been doing this, right? And the only thing that has to change that we can see that's going to make a material difference if we start buying exactly what Conte said, every window, 60 to 70 million pound players, proven players. That's the only way Tottenham can change.
To back up what Ian is saying and Maz was saying, and I know Sava wouldn't mind the conversation we had on WhatsApp. If we were really a serious club with a vision, with ambition, right? You know, Sava put up a player, right? And I'm not, for me, you know, I got excited, you know, because he brought up a player, right, who I'm a big fan of, Julian Alvarez. And I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but if this club was serious, we lost Kane, right? We have a player who I mentioned before has said, hey, if I'm not going to fully start because of Erling Haaland, you know, I'm going to want to leave. You can't go to Real Madrid, right? Because now, you know, they signed Mbappe, they loaded Endrick, right? Barcelona is not interested in him, right? So it's pretty much the Premier League clubs, if you believe the rumors, right? If we were a serious club, the kid is under 25, proven on the world stage, international, from Argentina, and for club, right? Won the treble. Has already completed football.
So you ain't got to worry about coming to Spurs and not winning trophies because he's won everything.
Yeah, and the guy fits the perfect prototype of what Ange wants to do. Would be the perfect guy, right? Let alone his compatriot, right, is on the team, right? Romero, right? This would never happen. And this is why I'm so dejected, right? Let's slap 100 mil for this guy, right? This guy has the CV. He has the record. He's played the Premier League. He will be the perfect player to say, you know what? Bam, for our future, for the Ange project, right? You're selling this to him. You are the diamond. You are the gem. This is your club. You are the new Harry Kane, right? And we're gonna build around you. And we'll talk about that like it was a dream. And of course, we ended the thread of this will never, never happen. And I'm using Julian Alvarez as an example. It will never, 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 never happen with our club. Like Maz says, we want to be, hey, get lucky, right? Because with Harry Kane, we got lucky. Our club will never be the club that says, Arsenal, Declan Rice, this is the guy. This is our prize, right? Well, if we're gonna spend 100 mil, bam, this is our guy, right? And me and Savi were talking today, like, you know who would be perfect for this club, but it would never happen. Julian Alvarez.
I tell you, Mari, I tell you the problem with our club.
Sorry, Ian. Sorry. Are you sorry? Are you going and JP's coming in? Is this the plan or?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan.
I would think a substitution, tactical substitution.
All right, lads, smashing it. Listen, Ian, pleasure meeting you, mate. Guys, we can. And listen, man, as always, come on, you Spurs. Take care, guys. Big up everyone in the chat.
See you, Iggy. Taking off Kane, bringing on Højbjerg. Here he comes.
On comes Højbjerg.
Højbjerg. Højbjerg. Enough of that, mate.
Sorry, mate.
I'm your turbo winner.
Let me
go back to you. I was just about to say, let's not be too negative about things. Paratici came into the club and the scouting system was a joke. The academy was a joke. What he has done and the others have followed up on has been nothing short of superb for the last 2 or 3 years. The problem we've got is Spurs have spent money. I think they're the fourth highest spenders in the last 4 or 5 years. But the problem is, and I was on a space a few months ago, and we were looking at highest net spend since
Ange came in.
Yeah. So we had spent up to Brennan Johnson from the time Paratici came in. It was 2.5, 3 years. They had spent 495 million on players. I think they bought 21 players, and I think the average was something like 27 million. And that's where the problem is. It's not that they haven't spent the money. You need to have the 60, 70 million pound. You need a couple of those players that are going to finish off the team, that are going to lead the team. You've got, and that's because they spent the money. And so you look at what Paratici and Gabbianini did. They brought Udogi in for 16 million. They brought Papasar in for 15 million. They brought Vicario in for 17 million. I mean, these are all superb transfers. And we talk about Alvarez being bought by City. Well, hang on. What about Tottenham bringing these in? What about Tottenham bringing in Bergvall for no money? I mean, these are superb transfer deals. So there is a hell of a lot going on at the club that's good.
It means nothing, though. It means nothing, though, because when we continue to fail every year, it amounts to nothing. The issue, we've said this maybe thousands of times on this channel, right? Spending money is not the problem at Spurs. Spending money is not an issue. It's how we spend it.
Correct.
We've got so many fans and other channels with a far bigger profile than ours that tell listeners we can't spend big because when we spend big, it doesn't work. We've proven that spending big doesn't work. And my argument has always been, no, we've proven spending big badly doesn't work. Not one fan wanted Richarlison.
Is that
Sanchez? Yeah, but JP, we spent 60 million on Richarlison. None of us wanted him. We spent 42 million on Davinson Sanchez. None of us wanted him. We spent 45 on Lo Celso. None of us knew this guy. If we spend that money on Eze, Tony, you telling me it's not going to work? This is where our arguments spin. We don't spend big money on proven quality.
Yeah.
We don't spend it on established, proven quality. This is where we failed. And all the other channels, I'm sorry to say, they peddle misinformation on this conversation. Not all, but a lot of them. They don't say it for what it is. Davinson Sanchez was a shocking signing. If we signed Bastoni for that money, for example, we'd have said, hold on, that's a really good centre-back. That's who the manager wanted as well. Spending money isn't our problem. It's how we spend it. And it goes back to what you said. Spending 70 million, spending 60, but we've got to spend it on proven quality. Like when we signed Van der Vaart, I remember when we signed Van der Vaart, we were going ballistic as fans. I was there when Edgar Davids made his debut. We were on the chairs whistling and jumping. Edgar Davids. When we signed Klinsmann, we don't do that anymore. We don't do those signings anymore. That's what we need at Spurs. We don't make those kinds of signings.
Well, still,
that's why we're always fifth, fourth, quarterfinal, second round.
Still, from the time I started following Spurs, I've seen Jimmy Greaves go into the 70s with the League Cup and the UEFA Cup wins with Chivers. I've seen, Peters. You go on Ozzy and Ricky in 78. You look at people like Teddy coming in, Gaza, Waddle. Waddle was brought through.
All of them, right?
Just fantastic. It was a different club then. We went and bought these top players.
Tell that to fans who call us negative. Tell that to people who call us negative.
Dragusin picked us in front of Bayern Munich. Bergvall picked us in front of Barcelona. So it's starting to turn again. Let's not be too negative about things. They're coming from where we were 14 months ago with the appalling squad we had.
Ian, I don't think we're being negative.
We're a much better place now. We're in a much better place 14 months than when.
I'm sorry, Ian, but if you've got Bayern Munich and Tottenham, right? You got a player that's going to Bayern Munich or Tottenham. I'm sorry, something there tells me that if I'm a player, I'm picking Bayern Munich every day. So something else behind the scenes is the reason why he's not just 'cause, oh no, I prefer to go to Tottenham. Sorry. To me, that sounds like he was either going to go Bayern Munich and sit on the bench, or he's been fed a story at Tottenham say, yeah, you're going to be, we're going to get to play and all this kind of stuff. Because why else would his agent now come out and turn around and start stirring the shit up and going, oh yeah, we're looking for somewhere else. He's not playing enough. He's not going to get enough minutes.
He's not quite the agent, is he? He's
got enough mouth to mouth off on social media. Then he's someone. Let's just say that.
Ian, I don't think we're being negative. I think what we try and do on this channel is identify the contradictions and mistakes at the club, mate, to inform the people that do watch us of what we believe is the reality of Tottenham Hotspur. What the other channels do is they'll give an absolute positive spin to almost everything, and then all they do is effectively just repeat or parrot what Ali Gold is saying or some of the other channels saying. And I don't think that's healthy, because we then as a fan base get absolute we then go at each other, right? Because you've got a large section of the fan base that believe Levy's brilliant and he's done great things for the club, and then you've got another section of the fan base that, like yourself, that remember the good times that we've been through, and you've got another section like me, a little bit younger than you, that sort of remember the good times because I was born in the 80s and I managed to see a few good teams in the 80s and then into the 90s, and I want that back because I've lost that for 30 years, right? So I don't think we're being negative, right? But what I would challenge you on is I don't believe that Paratici come in has actually really changed anything, because let's look at before Paratici came in, we actually made better signings. Paratici's legacy is this: we get rid of Lamela, right? We pay. Right, we then pay 27 million for Brian Gill, and then we loan him back to that club so he can win 2 trophies. Right, then when we get him back, he's useless. So then we have to loan him out again. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's pulled a few coups. Right, Romero is arguably his. We'll never really know Vicario and things of that nature because he was theoretically not meant to be working. Right, but let's attribute Vicario and Van der Ven to him, right? But who else has really been a success under Paratici? Because we certainly haven't reached the heights that we did under Poch, and we certainly haven't, I don't believe, reached the heights we did under Redknapp, right? So how have things materially improved in the signings?
How long's Paratici been here for? When did he come?
Jose.
21, wasn't it?
3 years now, isn't it?
So 2019 then. 2019.
I think Romero was probably the first.
No. It was 2020 because we had Hitchens still with
Yeah, but he got sacked, Hitchens, and then was he there when Jose came, or was it after?
It's 4 years. It's 4 years. He's been here 4 years.
So I'm not so sure that our transfer policies under Paratici and Lange and Ange have really changed. Don't get me wrong. I agree that we've done some good things. I agree with bringing in those good young players if they turn out to be good. But aside from that, Ian, I'm not seeing this marked quality improvement.
Listen, Paratici brought in Nuno. He brought in Chicken Royale. He brought in Danjuma. So it's one thing I will say though, and I know this from inside the club, he has improved the academy, because Simon Davies, I've met him. He's a very, very good academy director, guys. Like, he genuinely is a top academy director. 10 years experience with City. Went out to Belgium. Worked under Vincent Kompany there. Vincent Kompany went to Burnley. He was going to go and work with Vincent Kompany. But Paratici is the one who headhunted him, stopped him from going to Burnley with Vincent Kompany, and got him to Spurs. So Paratici's work in the academy has definitely raised the levels of the academy. Also breaking the wage structure.
He changed the structure as well, didn't he?
He's changed a lot. From an academy perspective, hats off to the guy. Honestly, hats off to the guy. We can't knock him. He's definitely elevated us. In terms of the first team, kind of Mads has got a point here. Are we closer to what Poch had? Are we closer to? We're not. We're not.
Well, the other thing also is that look at the team that Poch had, and I think that I hope people like I have the biggest arguments I have on my WhatsApp groups are regarding Pochettino and how I felt he did at Spurs. Because he didn't win anything, people slag him off. But when you look at what he did to take us that close, take us to Madrid, and okay, you need a bit of luck, but look at the luck Chelsea had when they won it in 2012 with Robin missing a penalty and Messi missing a penalty and et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, you can't get anywhere without a bit of luck. And I think that Poch was helped by Paul Mitchell. But the thing about the transfers then, you know, he went and got Son for 22. They got Toby for 16. They got Yan for 14. They got Dembele for 15. You know, they were buying players at great prices. And then all of a sudden, the middle of that decade, you had Neymar and I think Mbappe. And the whole transfer ceiling just shot up. So you weren't able to get players of that caliber for that sort of money anymore. You know, you were looking at your 30, 40 millions overnight. Mitchell was pushed out of the club, I think I heard, couldn't do his job. Mitchell went. All of a sudden, Hitchens came in, and Hitchens and Levy are running the scouting between them. They're, you know, in terms of buying players. And look what happened between Madrid and Ange coming in.
Yeah, but we've also, yes, the prices went up, but our spending power went up relative, if not more. If inflation went like this, our spending ability went like that. We've spent almost 700 million in the last 5 years since Poch left.
Which is a daft amount of money if you think about it, considering what we've got to show for it, right?
I always cuss Arsenal fans. I always dig them out on the channel saying, yeah, but Arteta spent 700 million. What's he won? You're a joke. And then they say to me, Bolden, do you know how much you've spent? I'm struggling to argue. I'm struggling to argue this now, you know?
Because they always spend money. When they buy a player, it's for the wrong price. And what I mean is, Basuma, Brighton sell all their players 50, 60 million and above. We got Basuma for 25. Why? Had a year left on his contract. Maddison's just been relegated. Year left on his contract. 30 million before the add-ons. 30 million for Maddison. That's small money. You know, everything is small money. It's the wrong price. It's a deal. It's a deal. When Dele Alli came up for 5 million, Levy moved like lightning. Modric, 15 million. Moved like lightning. When there are deals to be done, no one's better than Levy in closing that deal. To go and spend big money, he won't spend the big money. And Ndombele was a disaster.
Or we spend it badly.
But what we do still is you'll spend 30 million on Sessegnon. Or you'll spend 36 million, including the loan fee on the Celso. And you'll spend 36 million on Sanchez. So it's not like you're getting these boys for 10, 15 million. It's not like, you know, Janssen was bought for 15, 16 million. Those days are gone. You don't pick those players up. We had a chance to buy Ollie Watkins. Pleat said to him, buy Ollie Watkins. We could have got him for 28 million from Brentford. No, they got Carlos Vinicius for a £3 million loan fee. That sums up why we don't get anywhere as a club. We need new owners. Let them take their profit. They've done very well out of it. They put 220 million into the club. They'll walk away with God knows how many billion. Let them take their money. Good luck to them. And let's get people in that want to run this club properly and financially, because it's got to be run financially. So it's big business now. But owners that want to win things. You know, life is about memories. And we're all passionate about football. And I can remember those great times for me. I went to a trust meeting a few months ago. And one of the questions, the question I asked, because the...
Ian, are you part of the trust? Do you remember?
Yes, I'm a member. I'm a life member.
I've got a question for you after this then.
Okay. And everybody that was present, you had Ali Gold, you had Michael Bridge, you had Charlie Eccleshaw, and can't think who the other guy was. There were four of them. And everybody asked a question. And my question to them was, what's your best moment as a Spurs fan? And one of them said Madrid. And I think the others said the last day at the Lane. You know, and when you talk about memories with Tottenham, for me, Ricky Villa, 81. Gazza's free kick at Wembley, 91. You know, I cried when Spurs won the cup that year because they nearly went bust. If Nat Solomon hadn't have got us an 18-month extra time to pay the 18 million that we got in his bank. You know, Amsterdam for me was just wonderful. You know, that moment when Mora's hit the back of the net in front, it was right below us. And there was that moment, that split second where it was just like, what? And the place just went mental. And these are the memories that all the other big five are getting every single year. One of them or two of them or three of them are getting these memories. And that's what we want as a club. That's what we've been starved of. And we need new owners who want that. And until we change the owners, we're not going to get that. We're not going to buy the big players like Arsenal went and bought Declan Rice. We're not going to go and get these players. So, unfortunately, we've got to rely on great youth players coming through and hope that they make it.
And I think that's where our frustration is, Ian, and it's been there for it's been building and building. As each year goes on, it doesn't seem to change, right? And you can see the pattern, and you can look at history and go, going out and buying players, going out and signing Timo Werner again on loan as the first signing of the start of this, kind of almost sets the stall out. And you go, come on, something has to change. But from his perspective, right, our chairman's perspective, the money's coming in. People are still walking in the door.
Can I just say to the Hippo Nerd and to Eugene Stren, I'm not going to put your comments up on the screen because, quite frankly, you don't deserve it. But you just banging on this drum about negativity, and being sarcastic about no positivity. The truth is a difficult concept for many fans to accept. We're just an honest channel, and there's a reason we grow and we grow and we grow. And the reality is, you're wrong every year. Every year, you two witness failure. And you bang on about positivity. Failure happens. Everything we've said, coming into the season, year after year, we're proven right when we continue to win nothing, when we continue to fail, because the things we talk about that we want to see happen don't happen, and the subsequent consequences, failure. So we are consistently right, positively correct. This was an exam. We're literally getting an A+ every year. You guys are F-, man. You flunked. You flunk every year. You are negatively entrenched in failure, submerged in mediocrity, and you want to talk about positivity. Take a look in the mirror. It's not for you. Go watch another channel. Go listen to Chris Cowlin, who's going to give you what you want to hear. Go listen to all the others who are going to feed you what you want to hear. This is a real channel. It's not for you. Go. It doesn't change our lives. Honestly. If Spurs go and sign 2 or 3 top players, you ain't going to be hearing this conversation. Spurs go and challenge for cup finals, for league titles. You're not going to hear this conversation. It's not going to happen.
I'm glad you said that.
It's embarrassing on you guys. The failure you accept is a negativity you've accepted.
Can you imagine? And Ian, it'll be good to get your perspective on this. But don't you think that if Ange didn't say as much as he has done in reference to wanting to be a winner, challenging, changing our mentality, and he just played it a little bit coy with the information he gave us, right? Managed, effectively done his research on Spurs, looked at what Conte said and thought, right, I need to manage these fans very well, right? And manage obviously the club and the board and the staff in the background. Right, we would have a completely different outlook on this season.
Maz, I just need to put Eugene in his box because he's calling me a liar when he's the liar. Hippo Nerd said there is so much positivity go on. I hope you could give yourself the opportunity to just enjoy it a little bit. Have a good evening, everyone. Being sarcastic about us. Your reply was right on. That was your reply to what he said. So don't challenge me. I can read what I'm seeing. Right? If you want to lie in the comments, lie. I've just made you look like an idiot. You agreed with what he said. There's your negativity. How can you
So-
challenge what I've said?
I'm being honest. I would love for Eugene to come on the show and give us a whole platform of what we should be. What are we
I brought him
lacking?
on. I brought him on ages ago. Didn't know what hit him. I've said I'll bring him on again, but he didn't know what to do. He ends up agreeing with us on the show. Behind the keyboard, he's a different person. That's what they do.
My mind is open. My ears are open to hearing what can we be positive about. Like I'm being honest. I want to be able to hear that. And
Well, this is. I would like to get.
I
Ian's take
don't
on
wait.
it, 'cause
Manus,
this is.
I don't mind the negativity label, but you got to back it up. Like you got.
No, I agree. But what I'm trying to say is Ange could have. Ange mismanaged, for me, Ange mismanaged the fans, right? And it's almost led, certainly fans like us who want Levy gone, down this path. Because and if Ange just managed the expectations a bit better, we wouldn't be so negative about what's happening now. But he hasn't. And as an example, he said, I only stay at clubs for 2-3 seasons. So what is he saying there? I'm going to leave by the end of next season if things don't go right. That's what he's effectively saying. As all the players that come through the club, gets my say so. Well, maybe that might be true. They might tell him, inform him about who's coming in. But is really every single one of those players Angie's signings? If it is, it doesn't make any sense, right? Questioning the mentality of the fans for not wanting Arsenal to win the Premier League. I mean, does he know that we're Spurs supporters? Or is he that naive? So I'd just love to get Ian's perspective. Obviously, he's not been on our channel before, to get his perspective on it.
Man City at home. Let's start with the hardest one.
Yeah.
I was badly conflicted because I only ever want my team to win. Never want to see them lose. Desperate every game. If we lose, I walk out that ground. I am so pissed off. City, it was a strange one. It was like watching another team where you're not. If you win, you win. You lose, you lose. It was one of those. And I must be honest, when Son went through, I couldn't help wanting him to score. Of course, I didn't want Arsenal to win. Who wants Arsenal to win anything? For me, I loved it when we were top and they were bottom. Do you remember the other year after 3 games? Flashed it all over social media. It was a good laugh. It was a good wind up with all the Arsenal fans. Singing at Bramwell Lane last day of the season. Bottlers again. And it's great. It's terrific. I don't think what I like about Ange. He's a great talker. He's a great communicator. From what I'm hearing, the players love him as well, which is great. So everyone's on board there. My own personal feelings are that he plays the wrong system. He's put right the zonal marking from Liverpool onwards. Don't think we conceded a set piece goal. Can't remember one. He seemed to have put that right last 4 games of the season. Why it had to be the last 4, God only knows. And if you study the friendlies this season, he's playing either Basuma or Gray or Bergvall much deeper and just in front of the 2 boys at the back. So he's playing those guys closer to the back too. So
Ian, hold on.
But
that's not the case. We were getting cut open exactly the same as in the Premier League by basic team. Hearts were
because we got no one down the wings.
Exactly the same.
We got no fullbacks.
So nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
He's halfway there.
Me and Stel saw it. We watched it. We were getting cut open just like Wolves were doing it to us, and this was Hearts and QPR.
He's halfway there. Take the Wolves game at home. The goal where they broke. Basuma lost the ball on the edge of their box, I think. Basuma shouldn't have been there. Next season, hopefully Basuma won't be there.
He was doing exactly the same in the games the other day. Exactly the same. He's too reactive. He's got to play a back 3. For me, he's got to play a back 3.
What I think about what Ange comes out with, I tell you something, I'm only interested in what I see on the pitch. I couldn't give a toss what he says. Honestly, it means nothing. I just want to see the results on the pitch. End of. I go and watch the players. I don't go, if I want to go and watch a show, want to go and watch a comedian, or what I went to see Bruce Springsteen last week, I'll go and see someone talking or singing on stage. I don't need to listen and take too much notice of what Ange is coming out with. Give me the results. Give me the football on the pitch. Let's have a team that's competitive.
And to be fair, and I'm the same. These guys listen to what he says, and I hear it from them, and I agree with what they say. But I don't listen. Actions speak louder than words, right? But what I've seen with my coach's hat on, right, where I dissect the games and watch what's happening on the pitch.
Yeah.
When we're playing the first team in the first half, the same faults are happening. Exactly the same faults. Nothing's changing. Nothing's different, but against lower quality teams. In the second half, when he puts the youngsters on, it's almost like he goes, "Go on, just go and play. Just do what you like. Have fun." And it was so fresh. It was so fresh, and that's why I enjoyed watching that more than the first half. But you're not going to see him putting those players in the Premier League. It's as simple as that. So we're going to go back to exactly the same. And just a bit of reality check for people as well. If he doesn't change, doesn't matter whether we get three £50 million signings in, the tactics will still leave us wide open. And even every other supporter of Arsenal, Chelsea can see it. We just can't see it. Or we can't, but some fans just can't see it. The same thing is going to happen over and over again. We never ever talk about the fact that we think that anyone out of Romero, Porro, Udogie or Van de Ven need to be replaced this summer window. We never talk about it because we know they're all quality. We know they're good. But the tactics do not play well with how he's telling them to play. And that's the biggest thing that we've got to change. And he did that for the last two games. I'm not so sure that he's going to do it again. That worries me more than anything, more than youth, more than anything.
I agree. If he doesn't change, and people that have seen me on other podcasts and listened to me on Spaces, I've said all along, if he doesn't change, he'll be gone during next season and Pochettino will be back.
I disagree that Poch is coming back. Him leaving Chelsea because he can't have control of transfers or get the kind of changes he wants.
He's kind of going the backboard a bit.
He's learned his lesson. He's learned from what happened at Spurs. There's no way I think Poch ever comes and works for Daniel Levy again. I don't think he works under Levy again, personally speaking. I'd love him to come back if the shit hit the fan, but he'd be an idiot if he did. Because if it doesn't work with Ange, then he's not the solution in my view. Because after Ange, I'm done with anyone and everyone. Levy has to go. He has to.
I mean, there was even that time before. There was even the time before Ange when Poch was apparently waiting for the call and everything. Nothing happened.
And our dealers did that.
Just called him
tonight. Where he said we're waiting for the call and he never got it. But with Ange, personally for me, I love the way he consistently demands we play out from the back. I see fans panicking, clear it, get rid of it. I'm like, no, this is how you coach playing out from the back. Stick to your guns, make the mistakes this season. Keep doing what you're doing, because hopefully when the better quality players come in, technically we're going to get out of this press very quickly, 1-2 touch football, because the players will be able to do it. I'm happy Ange does that. I'm happy Ange is more attacking. There's so much to like about Ange, but he is so naive in game management, it beggars belief. There are moments where sometimes you have a game of football and the players just aren't on it as much as your position. They've come out the tunnel with more fire in their belly. Whatever has caused it has caused it. Sometimes players get complacent. Sometimes they just have a bad day at the office. When that happens and we're getting crushed and there's balls over the top and we're getting picked off, him as a manager say, right, drop back, squeeze, contain them, stabilize the game, stop this momentum they're building. Once we've calmed it down, let's go back to our ways, because now we've got a foot back in the game. Instead, they stand there like sitting ducks, and it's like bang, bang, and we're just getting picked off left, right, centre. That is 100% on the manager. That is all on Ange. And my other criticism of him is if he wants to play the way he wants to play, I get what he's trying to do. I totally get his system. He needs to sign some quality players, especially in that front three, to pull this off. And we haven't done anything there. So for me,
Well, he won. Still, he won. You're 100% correct because he had the best players.
this is my concern for next season. So yeah, go on. Sorry, Ian.
He had the best players at Celtic, best players in Scotland for Celtic, so he could play the way he played. But he brought it down south, and that's naive, and that's showing, for me, that's showing disrespect to the other teams, and the other teams worked us out after a while, and we were getting hammered. You know, I sat behind the goal at Brighton just after Christmas. We were 2 down at half time. It should have been 7. The wood worked twice. Vic made 3 great saves. Didn't do a thing. Didn't make a change. I mean, I felt sorry for Emerson. The guy was turned inside out. He was probably dizzy by the end of it. You know, that was the. I've never seen centre half
to play, Ian. But who picked him to play?
I know.
Who picked Emerson to play.
Listen,
You know,
we watched it at Fulham. We watched it at Newcastle. We watched it at Liverpool. They're 3 up. They're 4 up. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy. You may as well have played the kids and got beaten like that and brought the kids through so they're better for this season. I just didn't see the point of it.
He's such a likable manager, right? He speaks with such a love and care for the game and for the well-being of his players. He respects the sport. He's got so much love for the club, the way he talks about Tottenham. There's so much to like about this man. But tactically, if he doesn't adapt, he's finished. The Premier League will eat him alive.
That's got to be a lesson for him, right? So that's his first year in the Premier League.
First
10 games were flying. Everything was rosy. It was all mate and everything like that. And then it was hard for him. Injuries and everything came up, right? And then towards the back end of the season, even when we got our players back, we weren't really functioning as we were kind of like at the beginning. So hopefully, again, that's a season under his belt now. You'd like to think that he has learned a couple of things. And Ian's right, because the last few games towards the back end of last season, he did drop back slightly. He did make some adjustments.
2 tweaks.
Kind of
JP, 2 tweaks is all he needs.
But
Drop 10 yards and stop inverting both wingers at the same time. If you invert one, you create a 3 at the back. If you don't want to do that, then you've got to have a competent number 6 that does not go up the pitch. They stay back and create that 3. It's as simple as that. It's too many times, as Ian said, we put ourselves in the. If you imagine if we didn't have Van der Ven and he played like that, because he didn't buy Van der Ven to play his tactics. He came here first, and then Van der Ven came along, right? If we didn't have Van der Ven, we could have lost 70 plus goals.
Absolute
curtains. And someone else has just put in the comments as well. If we buy Chiesa, Tony, and Eze, is our view going to change? My view is that if he starts exactly the same way as we started off last season and up until the last couple of games, it doesn't matter who you've got up front, we're still going to be shipping 50, 60, 65 goals. That does not help us. And with all you're then betting on is those 3 players are going to score you more goals than you let in. That's the madness.
And this is why I don't
in the
believe
Premier League.
But and this is why I almost don't believe that he's in charge of the transfers, because why wouldn't he address those issues? If he's this top manager that everyone's saying, right? Not us specifically, but everyone else is saying, why isn't he addressing the issues? Why is he re-signing Timo? Why is he buying kids to address the issues? Doesn't make any sense. I mean, in his own words, we're meant to be challenging for the league this year. Do we really think we're going to challenge the league with, Gray and Bergvall making a difference? I don't think so. So I don't.
Fans
for
don't
me,
know. Fans don't know the plan's still in place.
Well, I don't think anyone knows really, right? I don't think even we don't know. But for me, the big red flag was when and I'm with Stel on this. We all said it. If he re-signs Timo Werner, I can't back him. Now that doesn't mean that because I can't back him and because I don't care if he gets sacked or not, that I necessarily want him to get sacked, because I think I'm at the point now where it doesn't matter what manager comes in, we're going to have the same problems because of the way the club is run. So in that respect, what do? We just have to see it play out, and that's where I'm at with it.
We just play happy claps.
Would it not be? It'd be interesting still if all of us came back on the first, 2nd of September when the window is closed and see where Spurs are at that stage.
Let's do it.
So this is one thing I've said on this channel many a time, is that I don't think we're going to get the players we want, but we have to let it play out. We have to wait to the end of August, unfortunately, see where we're at. I have said that a few times, because only then does anyone know really what's what. Ali Gold can say this, Ange can say that, Paratici can say this, Levy can, fan channels can all say what they want. The reality is, on the 1st of September, we'll know exactly what's what. And you're right. Listen, we'll do it again. We'll do the exact same panel, and we'll see.
But
still negative.
No, I don't think any one of us will be more happier if Ange proves us all wrong, right? And everything works out. We'll be elated. We want to be.
I'm not against him, Maz. I'm just saying I like what I see, what he's trying to do.
He's a likable person,
but it needs tweaking, and his stubbornness to want to change is what worries me. If it works in Scotland, fair enough. It works in the J League, fair enough. It works in Australian national team, fair enough. But this is the Premier League. It doesn't work here as it stands. The best managers adapt. They read the situation and they adapt quicker. Do it quick, change it up, and sort the issues out. Continue persisting with something that's not working or is opening you up is naivety. And let's give him the benefit of the doubt. First season, working out the Premier League, great. I think telling will be when we play these 2 games against Bayern Munich. Because that is going to be a challenge, more replicant of a Premier League team, even if they haven't got Kane or something like that. I'm sure most of these players, just before their league starts, are wanting to get fitness back. That'll be more telling. Let's see what happens on those games. We'll find out on, Saturday, isn't it? First one's Saturday, and then the last one's in 2 weeks.
I guess
that's
we'll
what
see.
I'm looking at.
I guess we'll see if he plays the kids as well.
By the way, can I just say,
the thing is,
really good
when
to
the
see.
centre backs come back, right?
It's good to see Red in the chat, because I actually thought she hated my guts. So maybe she's here for you guys.
She's here for us still. She's not here for you. She's here for us. The good-looking ones. Thanks, mate.
One type of player nobody's mentioned today that will have a big bearing. If Ange stays playing 2 at the back, it's kamikaze for me. I think he'll be gone. Where he can mitigate the problems that 2 at the back caused is by having somebody like a Grealish who's very good holding on to the ball, because we lost the ball around their box so many times last season and got caught on the counter, and we gave away so many goals that cost us so many games. And if you've got players who are better at holding the ball, then we have got more of a chance of putting the ball in the back of their net rather than losing it and seeing the ball finish up in the back of ours. It's just a simple thing. It's just a tweak, but I do think it's quite relevant, because it doesn't look as though Ange is going to change. I'd love him to play 3 at the back with Porro and Udogie or Spence, who looks like he's finally got his head together, as wing backs. You could then play 2 in the middle with your 3 up front. I think it'd be superb. And we were 2 points off 4th place last time. And if we'd have played 3 at the back, I think we'd have walked past Villa, because we have a better squad than Villa. Villa have just lost their best player as well. I'm reading on Twitter, Villa buying this one, that one. They've just lost Douglas Luiz. He was massive for Villa last season, absolutely massive. So they're going to suffer because of that. So we're not that far off. He just needs to tweak a few things and bring 1 or 2 of the kids through.
When you say not far off from what specifically?
Well, we're not going to challenge for the league with the squad we've got still. Just got to be realistic. As much as I'd love us to be back to where we were in 16 and 17, we're not at this stage. I do think, however, that 12 months on from now, personally, I think I'm going to be really excited at the season. If these kids keep coming on the way they are, I think we're going to have a fabulous season, not this year, but next season.
Do you think they're going to be involved much, Ian?
I hope so. I personally, I don't think he's got a choice at the end of the day, because we saw so-called established players last season that were just poor for most of the season. You know, for me,
even the first 10 games, Ian.
Sorry,
even the first 10 games, apart from 2, Burnley and was it United? I don't think we were great. I think we scraped wins, but I don't think we were great.
I must tell you, Lee, against United, Fernandes and Rashford missed open goals with headers in the first half. We could have been 2 down at half time quite easily.
Right at the end of the first half, like Rashford missed that header, didn't he?
That's right. Just easier to score. But at the end of the day, we didn't finish off that far. Yeah, we're 2 points off Villa. You know, if he'd have put Phillips on with 5-10 minutes to go at Molineux and would have held on to that 1-goal lead that we had when the game went into added time, we'd have been top 4. It was that close.
Ian, I would go as far as saying is if he had just dropped his defence 10 yards.
Absolutely.
Then we wouldn't have got hit on the break so much. Then we would have probably won more games than we lost. But that shows naivety on his part. But.
Correct. And he should never have put Davis against Saka at the lane. Mickey should have played left back with Dragusin playing. Should never have played Emerson at Anfield against Salah. He should have played Dragusin with Van de Ven on left. There was you can look at key moments during the season. I mean, West Ham were there for the taking at the Olympic Stadium.
Villa were there for the taking. That was the most frustrating game I think I've ever watched. That Villa game. Wow, we should have taken them to the cleaners.
Well, Cash won Villa the game with that tackle, didn't he? Because Benson Cole was killing him. So, Ian,
I wanted to ask you a question about the trust, actually, quickly. I know I said a while back I wanted to ask you, and we kind of went off on one. So your experience with the trust in these meetings, I don't know what your involvement is actually, but why do they take this stance of not properly taking on the ownership in some of the decisions they make? It all seems a little bit, I don't want to say they pussyfoot around the subject, but it comes across that way. It's a little bit, it's weak. What is the reason for that?
They are treated the same way as the FAB, with disdain, in my opinion, from what I've seen, from what I've heard. Club aren't interested in them. They're a hindrance. They have done quite.
Why don't they? But they don't step up. Yeah, but what is it that holds them back? What is the issue that they've got that they can't actually properly put the kind of pressure and try and get the fan base behind them to do so? Because it seems they write letters, they write emails, they only want to collaborate with 1 or 2 YouTube channels to try and get people to go to a protest only about ticket prices. Why don't they do more in your view?
Why don't they do more? I think they're ignored. I think there's a lot of work that's done that we don't hear about, and they are blatantly ignored.
Yeah, but they've never asked us to support them.
The club aren't interested. The club aren't interested.
I'm not talking about the club.
The club are not interested in the trust and what they've got to say.
No, but I think that's
we're all talking as equals here. We all respect each other. It's not the way, I believe, between the club and the trust. They don't, the trust are there. The club would rather the trust on.
Yeah, but the club. Do you know what? Let me reword this. Let me rephrase this. We've got 27,000 subscribers. If I asked all the subscribers to come to, for example, a Leave Out protest, I doubt we're going to get even close to 100. Okay, because they all live in different places around the world. They live in different places in the UK, and also, I don't think there's an appetite for it. But the trust has got paid members. How many is it? 20,000 members they've got, or is it much more than that? I don't know.
Possibly, probably about that. I think.
Could they not unite that membership behind a cause of action? Is kind of what I'm asking. Is there a reason that doesn't happen, or is there a reason they can't, or must everyone in the membership vote on what to do, and therefore the votes get split, and everyone's got a different view and opinion? Or
if they're too vocal, if they're too, is aggressive the right word? Hostile. They won't be given the meetings with the board that they get.
But
Because
that's the root cause of the problem,
isn't it?
though.
Isn't it
Ian.
just lip service then?
No, yeah, but that's the root cause of the problem because that means that the club is manipulating them by removing access to the board, right? Which is obviously their prerogative and their right to do that, I guess, right? But then what the trust need to do is take a stance and say, right, if you won't talk to us, then we'll make your lives very difficult, right? And that's where, yeah.
I don't think he cares. He doesn't. They don't care.
But
they
do as a money making organisation, because if they then get 5,000 fans protesting, it's amazing how quickly a club can change, the direction they're heading in. I mean, look at what happened with Arsenal and Chelsea and the what's it called, that league, the Super League that happened. The
You're
other
talking
club
about
fans
different
went
clubs,
out.
mate.
No,
our fan base are nothing like those. Look at how Everton protested.
But Ian, this is the point that Stell and we are trying to make, right? Is that the club aren't like that because there's no if a respected
There's no one to push him and poke
trust mobilized the fan base. They said, look, we're trying to fight for your interests, i.e. ticket prices, concessions for seniors, the direction, putting profit before glory. If the trust try to unite the fan base under that type of banner, then maybe we would turn into that type of fans. We used to in the 90s. We used to be like this.
Big difference, Maz. I sat down last year with Mark Jacob, and Mark organised the tag Tottenham Action Group.
Sorry, who's Mark Jacob? Ian, who's Mark Jacob?
Mark Jacob put together TAG, Tottenham Action Group, and they started with the protests against sugar that went on for ages, and it was different in those days. Mark had somebody in the who worked in one of the newspapers. There was no social media then. The internet was just coming in, so everybody relied on television and the newspapers. So it was completely different. We didn't have podcasts on a Monday night. Because I sat down and I had a chat with us. I just said, how did you, what did you do? I was just interested. I've known Mark for many years. It was just one of those things. I've seen him at Spurs, home and away. And I just said, what did you do? Just out of interest. What did you do? And he's written a book. So if anybody wants to go out and get a book by Mark Jacob, I can let you know what it's called. It's very interesting, but it was different in those days. Our fans in those days, you had 5,000 people after a match at the Bill Nicholson gate screaming "Sugar out." The fans.
Would you say our fan base has changed then? Has our fan base become something different?
Completely changed. Completely changed. You've got. I tell you a big difference I find.
No, Murray's got a question. Go, Murray. We can say.
No, my next question for Ian is, in your opinion, what would be the breaking point for the fans to go back to the day of protesting, we want sugar out? Like, what would be the breaking point?
Well, the last two occasions, the last occasion really, where the fans went ballistic and they were singing "Leave It Out" was when we lost 3-0 to Man United. And the board did what they always do afterwards to alleviate the pressure. They sacked the manager and they got rid of Nuno because they don't want that. They don't want that aggravation. They don't want that pressure. And that's what they did. The fans were screaming "Leave It Out" the whole, we want our top.
And this is where I feel the trust needs to represent the fans, right? And more, as in not just the fans that are paid up members, but also the fans that want Spurs to be successful, to go for glory, right? Because, like I said, with social media and with the access that everyone now has to spread news far and wide, having a protest at an organisation like Tottenham will have a big effect on the club. And this is where the trust needs to put them on the back foot and say, no, we are a trust that you must talk to and negotiate with and talk to. Even if you don't give us access to the board, this is what we will do if you don't. Right? And that's where you start changing the power dynamic, Ian, right? And
I disagree. I'll tell you why. You got 60,000 coming through the turnstiles every week. You got the Spurs shop rammed every week. You got the bars rammed every week. They're there for an hour and a half after the match. They're there for 2 hours before the match. They're bringing in, God knows, 5 million every single match. 5-6 million. The money's rolling in. It's rolling in all over the place. NFL, rugby league, rugby union. Saracens are there every year. Concerts. They've had Pink, Travis Scott this year. They had Beyonce last year. The NFL makes them fortunes. They take all the football merchandise out the club shop. They put all NFL in. I'm sure they probably get a kickback off that. They got a percentage off that. They're earning fortunes.
But this is the problem. It's been turned into an entertainment.
In terms of bringing the money in, sorry, he's doing a fantastic job for bringing the money in for Tottenham. He's doing an amazing job.
That's where they won't go in.
But it doesn't help.
That's the thing. Why this club is a cash machine for Levy, they won't be going anywhere. Selling the club. Who would sell a club that prints money for you, basically? And the problem is the whole. Hold on, Stella. Let me just finish. The reason why these protests and stuff won't work is because the hardcore fans are now. We've spoken about this a million times. The hardcore fans are now a minority, right? This is a family-friendly venue that does multiple different types of entertainment. And if you could almost think about it like this, like Levy sees that the spending on the football club is actually a negative than it is for all the other events that go on. So the priority is always going to be what brings me money in compared to what I have to spend on. That's the football. That's why the investment doesn't go into the first team. As much as we say that they have spent a lot of money, and they have, don't get us wrong, it's not been spelt very well. And the problem is when it gets to a point where we're not seeing the returns on the first team, i.e. trophies, okay, what is happening is we've got so far down that road of being like an entertainment firm now, is that you just don't have the weight behind it anymore. I mean, let's be honest, most of the people, I don't get to go often, and I only go because my friends are like a tier 1 season ticket holder. But I can tell you now, they don't go that often either. They don't go anymore. They just give their ticket to someone else. And they don't have to not. They're just getting fed up and bored of it. The atmosphere has changed from a hardcore football team to an entertainment venue. And I haven't heard.
All I've heard is, the club makes loads of money. Yeah, they don't care. But that doesn't mean that they don't care about their image, and they don't care about fans protesting.
I don't disagree, Maz. When you start hitting the bottom line, I think. But the problem is we've got so many revenue streams coming in.
I'm not talking about that. No. You're taking it the wrong direction. I'm not talking about affecting their revenue. We know that they've made their money-making machine, and that all they care about is money and the various ways that they can acquire it, right? But any organisation that makes a lot of money is very sensitive to their reputation and their standing as a business. If you've got disgruntled customers and a section of the fan base making a lot of noise, then they have to respond to that because they're in the newspapers.
Maz, right? Can I ask you a quick question? For the last 20 years, people have taken the piss out of Tottenham and the Tottenham fans. Have they done anything about it?
No,
well,
I don't care.
The image and the laugh and that everyone Levy's a big name in the board, but in football everyone takes the piss.
They sort of have, haven't they? Because what they've done is they've built stadiums. They've professionalized the club a lot more than they have done, right? They've made ourselves into a financial powerhouse to say, well, look, we might not win anything, but look how amazing we are. We're a money printing machine, right? And in that respect, they've turned it around.
That's the wrong
in
image,
terms of the
isn't it?
perception. Yeah, it's a gimmick. Yeah, for us it is, but for a lot of other fans, it's not.
But you see, this is the problem, right, Maz? This is the problem. And I've been saying this for freaking... I've lost count. The way you get to Levy is you go after his ego. And how do we go after his ego? The Levy out chance, where his poor wife is stroking his hand, saying it'll be all right, that got to him. If it gets toxic in that stadium and outside the stadium, and it's fans that will make that happen, suddenly all those corporate box holders paying 200-300 grand a year pick up the phone to the head of corporate Spurs. This isn't what we paid for. This isn't a good look on the clients I'm entertaining. Suddenly, Nike, AIA, all these sponsors call up. Daniel, this is a bad look for us, mate. It's not a good look for our brand. Now he's under pressure. And as that ramps up, his position becomes untenable. The board will say, Daniel, this isn't, we can't go on like this. And either he steps down, sells up, or he does what we want and start becoming a club that wants to win silverware. But our fan base,
I would honestly say,
our fan base refuse to do this. They don't want to do it.
I would honestly say still, and I know if our fan base do want to do it, rather than going and doing it outside the Tottenham ground, you're better off going to standing outside the sponsors shop. So in terms of go to wherever AIA's headquarters are, go to wherever Nike's headquarters are, stand outside the noise.
I agree.
Then they'll get in touch with Tottenham.
You're
if there was enough people.
But the cameras and the medias are on White Hart Lane. That's where we need to be. That's where the global look begins to look bad for Nike and AIA and them lot.
But you still want to piss off their sponsors. And I'm really sorry. I just want to go back to Ian's point. Ian was making a point earlier, and I don't think he quite finished it. But I'm just interested to hear, in the fact that what you were going to say about where the fans had changed from like the 90s to like kind of now.
Well, I think fans that have just been following Spurs, fans who are sort of probably 30 and under, have seen hardly, by the time they start going to football, maybe they've seen a League Cup, couple of League Cups. They've been used to watching Chelsea, Arsenal, Invincibles, United, City. They're used to everybody else. They haven't experienced, the nights like when Hoddle dominated Cruyff at White Hart Lane in '84. We were 4 against Feyenoord at half time, and those magnificent nights at White Hart Lane. I remember Liverpool, all conquering Liverpool in '73, came to Spurs in December in a League Cup replay, pouring rain, with 3 up in 15 minutes. Chivers destroyed them. There were certain nights, fans remember those things. Last day at Southampton. I remember last day at City, the day we got relegated. But you go right the way through and you talk about all the players. And it's funny, we started off talking about homegrown players. You look at, for me, my favourite four my favourite Spurs players. Highest appearance maker, Steve Perryman. Highest goal scorer, Harry Kane. For me, my favourite centre half, Ledley King. My favourite all-time Spurs player, Glenn Hoddle. What's the link? They're all homegrown. That's why I'm desperate to see these kids come through, because we haven't had anything. We've had Kane only, and then Ledley, and then you got Hoddle in the 70s coming through, and Perryman came through late 60s. So we're due some homegrown players to come through and be successful. But for me, I've seen those great nights, the Villa nights, Gazza at Wembley. What are the fans? My son's 24. What's he seen? He was 8 when we beat Chelsea in the League Cup, and he's been around Europe with me. He's had some good nights, and he's had Amsterdam. He's had hardly anything compared to fans who are sort of my age, my generation, maybe 10, 15, 20 years younger. The younger generation, they haven't seen it. Spurs is different to them. It's much more corporate. It's much more of a business. For me, we were never a league team. I've never seen. I wasn't quite 4 when we won the league. I can't remember it. I've never seen us win the league. You know, I'd like to see us win the league once before they put me 6 foot under. Just once. You know, I've got, you know, there's City fans have won it the last 4 years, and we're like desperate just to see it once. And I think that the fan base is split between fans of my age and the ilk that have seen the glory days, great European nights, and fans that have just sort of been following the club, like my son, that haven't seen that much. Life's about, as I said before, life's about memories. It's about remembering those great nights. And we haven't had many, have we? Particularly in the last 23 years.
Just want to
there's your answer. I think it's an age thing, JP.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the frustration at that time, whereas everyone was more than happy to just go and kind of like stand outside, as you said, like have a kind of almost make a great big protest and a noise to get sugar out and stuff, because of it was probably quite recent or fresh in people's minds, right? As opposed to where we've come on another 30 years, is that there is almost a whole generation that are born that are going to Tottenham now who've never seen it, right?
Arsenal fans haven't changed. Man United fans haven't changed. They Liverpool fans haven't changed. They still stand up when they feel the club isn't ambitious.
I think the biggest
it's our fan base. They're scared. They're scared, JP. And I did a video on this the other day. Our fans are in a comfort zone. I was explaining this. They're so scared of the Sugar Irving Scholar days that Levy's giving them a safety zone where we win nothing, we achieve nothing, but we're big six. We get a bit of Champions League football, and for them it's like, well, that's safe, isn't it? That's safe. And the option is this: you stick with Levy and Enoch and play it safe, but you're pretty much guaranteed nothing, but you kind of stay relevant, and that makes some fans feel special. Or you take the risk, get them out, but then the new owners could either take you into a Mike Ashley Everton zone or into a Stan Kroenke FSG zone where they went and won stuff against the big guns. Yeah. Or Arsenal are knocking on the door, should I say. We don't know what new owner will do. A new owner could be brilliant for us or a disaster. We don't know.
That's the gamble. Most fans... You want to change, right? Change.
But most fans don't want to gamble. Most fans are like, no, I'm comfortable here. And I gave this analogy. When you're in the London Underground, people use the escalators. Why? It's easy. It's comfort. But the best thing for your body is to take the stairs. People come home, they're tired. I'll get a takeaway. I'll put a microwave meal. But if you cook your own food, raw ingredients, that's what's good for you. So when people then have mobility issues when they're older, I should have taken the stairs when I was younger. When people get all the illnesses in life, do you know what? I shouldn't have got the fast food. So now we're here with this shit. Yeah, you should have been Levy out, but you're comfortable. Spurs fans, I don't know why we're in this comfort zone where we just think, you know what? It's just safe. It's easy to call Uber Eats. It's easy to get on the escalator.
I'll bottom line it, guys. When they sell, they'll walk off with their billions. And what have the fans got? What have they been left with?
Still be there supporting Tottenham with the pain that's left.
I mean, someone posted earlier, and I started, right? It was, you removed it, where they were just saying, enjoy the ride. It's actually Steph called them out. Not Eugene. Yeah. Oh, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen a trophy since 2007, so it's been what, 17 years? I mean, I've been sitting. I mean, are we there yet? 17 years and counting on this car ride? I mean, how much longer that I need to wait? You know, I mean, it's our fan base. They're suffering from Stockholm disease. It's that fear of, of taking that risk. You know, the name of the motto of our club is to do, and we don't live by it. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Do you know what's interesting? That was the
frustrating thing for me last year. Sorry, Lee. Last year, when there was all that talk about taking away the old age people's season tickets, taking those concessions away and stuff like that. And I was thinking, at that point, that's frustrating, right? Surely the fans have to get behind that. It's their dads, their granddads, things like that it's been taken away from, literally. I went to one of those protests, and I think I did a video outside the Spurs shop. There was literally a flag there with two people, and there was no one there at all. And you go, these are people of our club, our supporters group, our family, who've watched Tottenham Hotspurs for the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years, and they've been kicked out. If you're a handler or a carer or whatever, now you've got to pay and stuff. Totally stiffed out purely so that fee you can get full value.
JP, it was such a joke of a protest, right? They go on the channels that don't dare.
But that's fine.
Or demand leave out. No, because that audience.
The message was there, right? There was there's 60,000 people still. Not one of them stopped at least.
But the way it was pitched, was it's going to be calm. Don't say this. Don't say that. Then you had other channels saying, "Oh, you're not going to flip cars, are you? You're not going to light off flares and stuff." What are you talking about? A protest has got to be loud. It's got to make noise. No one said we're going to blow up bloody lampposts and local shops. We said protest, not riot. And it was depicted as like this really bad thing. You're going to give the club a bad name. The people that organised it, bless them, they engaged with the wrong people. The fans were never going to do it because it was depicted as a bad thing. And then you had freaking YouTubers and content creators saying, but when you look at the economics and the financials, if such a significant percentage of the fan base is a concession payer, the revenue we're going to lose will impact. And you're thinking, oh my God, you're talking like a bloody investment banker. In the 1970s, when we got relegated, who was it that carried the club? It was the fans. They're the concession people now. They're the ones who are the ugly now. Why aren't you saying that? Why aren't the content creators saying that? Why isn't that the message?
But to go argue against all the clever guys, still, for every person that becomes, I'm just saying, give or take, for every person that goes from 65 to 66 that should get a concession, and concessions should be based on age, not on where you sit, as well. But that's another story. You've got a 17-year-old becoming 18 who doesn't get the cheap, children's price as well. So, they lose on one, they gain on the other. So,
Ian,
for me, you're right. It's the guys who have been there 40, 50 years who deserve, who take a pension, to put the prices up 2 years running the way he has, and to do what he's done to the senior citizens, shows the guy's just not in the real world. There's still a cost of living crisis out there. People spend money, people go into debt to buy season tickets to follow our club, and there's just no appreciation. There's no appreciation from the board for what these fans do. They travel all over the country. It's unbelievable.
Do you know when I lost my shit with this whole thing, right? It's when he said, if you're a disabled fan in the premium section, your carer, who you can't attend the game without your carer, has to pay a fee now to come in. But if you don't sit in the premium section, you're disabled, your carer comes in for free. What the hell is that about? If you're disabled, you're disabled, man. You should be glad a disabled person is prepared to pay more to come to games. But to charge the carer that the disabled person can't even attend with. I lost my mind with that because my dad's disabled. I freaking lost it. So, but again, I will peddle this message. A few other channels will peddle that message, but the other channels, the other content creators, so many. Oh, but when you look at the economics, when you look at the financials and the disruption it makes to the business model,
50p, extra 50p on a beer would have paid for that.
Where's the humane part of this? Listen, Tottenham isn't just a football club. It's not a business. It's a community. Tottenham Hotspur is a community. You've got to think about your community. And but anyway, he's got away with it. He's got away with it. He's got what he wants. And he'll get away with it again because our fan base isn't going to do anything.
Well, he did think of the community, didn't he? He basically knocked most of it down and then put an entertainment hub in the middle of it. So yeah, did quite well. That no one can afford to go to because they're not rejuvenating the rest of the community. It's just ridiculous. All I was going to say earlier was that I think in terms of this, like paying for season tickets and the prices and stuff like that. Let's just say it how it is right now. I'm now in a place in my life where I'm in a comfortable position where I could buy a season ticket tomorrow, no problem whatsoever. I don't want to. Why would I go and pay a season ticket a premium price when I know the inconsistency of the way that we perform because of the money and the players that he puts into the team? I don't know what I'm going to get from week in, week out. It's just no point. What's the point?
I do it because I like it.
I'll go when I get a free ticket. That's it. I won't put money into his pocket.
The thing is, I paid for my season ticket, Lee, right, for two reasons. One,
you're part of the problem.
Yeah, that's why I get used to be there.
No, I will not let Levy push me out of my club.
Well,
I will be there to make a noise. Is my view on paying my season ticket.
Someone who's more sympathetic to the ownership will end up taking my seat. And I don't want that. And secondly, if the tide ever turns, I need to be on the front line. I need to be there driving it. We need people inside the stadium for it. And do you know what? It doesn't really cost me because next season, if the games are shit, I'm selling all my tickets from the exchange. I did it last year. At the end of last season, I sold pretty much every ticket except for the Arsenal Man City one. They're the only two I didn't sell. The rest, I stopped going. I just got my money back.
This is the other problem as well, though. That a lot of the people that say to you, well, why do you spend the money on the ticket? Why do you put money into his pocket, etc., etc.? The problem is people don't realise if you give up your ticket, someone's always there waiting for it. So it doesn't matter. You would have to. I mean, what's the waiting list on season tickets now? It's something ridiculous, isn't it?
Not as big as you think it is.
It was like it's meant to be 50,000 or something, but apparently about 10,000 were getting offers last year.
There's still 10,000 people waiting for a ticket, right? There's still 10,000 worth of season tickets that go into his pocket, and we're not getting those type of numbers. You're not getting 10,000 people going to protest and stuff, so it's never going to happen. There's always going to be someone there that wants to take your ticket, and the more they promote it, the less likely it's going to happen. Go on, no, you're right.
Got a super chat from Benito Sotelo. Thank you. Replace that Skittle Transformer Spurs flag in the away end with a regular white Navy Spurs flag. Baby steps, Levy. Okay, yeah, Benito, that's not really appropriate, if I'm honest with you. So thank you for the super chat, though. I should have read it before I read it out. We've got to be careful. Certain things we can't be saying, man. Do you know what I mean? Before we end the show, I just want to say a big respect to this man here, David Pleat. He's officially stepping down from his role at the club. An absolute legend in terms of what he's done for us, what he has shown in terms of passion and love for the club. He's Tottenham through and through, this man. So it's only right we say thank you to him. And
he came close. He came close, didn't he?
He came close, yeah. He's done some good scouting work for Spurs.
Fantastic. It started at Oxford when he played 4-5-1 and we beat him 4-2, I think. From November 21st, I think it was in 86. And from November through to May, football was terrific. And I think we just got beaten. We got KO'd by a fixture pile-up that year, unfortunately. But there you go.
Yeah, listen, he's part of the furniture, so got to give him some respect. Thank you to all the super chats tonight. Jamie Allen, Benito, Henry Thong TV channel member now for
15 months.
What that Henry Thong, I tell you. Thank you to everyone in the chat tonight who contributed, everyone who's had a say and whatnot. All right, final words. Let's go around. Ian.
No, listen. Been great joining you guys. Had a great chat. What is it now? 11:15, nearly 3 hours. Just want a quick mention to a lot of the guys that I work with on Spaces. Johnson, I hope you enjoyed the show walking around Lidl's this evening, and hope to join you guys again. Be nice to actually sit and have a look at the transfer window after it's closed to see where we are then.
Yeah, definitely get you back on that one.
We'll do it. We'll do it with the first show off the transfer window. Come back on him. We'll do it. We'll do like a recap. Lee?
Listen, I just hope and pray things are happening behind the background. Let's. I want to be proved wrong. We all want to be proved wrong. Prove us wrong.
Maz, is it even worth it?
Nah, I'm the same as Lee. You know, hopefully we get 2-3 quality players come through the door. That's significant enough for us to be like, all right, things are looking up. And yeah, let's see what happens, isn't it? But when it doesn't happen, I'm going to be back in force.
Yeah, well, listen, there could be a lot going on come end of the transfer window because we would have played 2 or 3 Premier League games as well by then. Mari?
Same as Lee and Maz. Hope we sign somebody. Doesn't happen. It is what it is. So I got.
So I got. That's all you're getting, people.
So
JP.
So what was it? There's an anniversary today or something, wasn't it? 6,000 days or something. 6,000.
Yeah, we did touch on it. It's 6,000 days. This guy tweeted, "Congratulations, Spurs official." He tagged him in 6,000 trophy this day. He got like 3 or 4. Do you know what? Do you know what's weird about this? He got 3,000 or 4,000 likes for him bantering the club. Yet when we do a protest about that, we get like 50 people come. I wonder if a lot of those people, like Arsenal fans, just like it. Yeah, let's dig it in, you know. But,
so
yeah.
My final words will be: do you know what? Shut the transfer window, rip it up, play the kids.
He'll back. I'll tell you something. Ange will get backed. Next 5 weeks, honestly, I genuinely think Ange will get backed. There we go. I'll stand on all my tools.
Do I have your permission to clip what you've just done there? Right now? I'd like to bring that back up in on the 1st of September.
Okay.
There we go. Listen, I'll put my hands up and say, you know what, I was talking a lot of nonsense, but honestly, I do think you got to remember it's all about top 4 with them, and he's got to get top 4.
See, just one really quick thing, Ian. What peeved me the other day when I heard Ange came out saying, "Oh, do you know what? People don't know what's happening. There's still things going on in the window. Our first options are still on the table and stuff." And you go, that smells of haggling. If that was your first option on day one, pay it, done, get him in. But the fact that we're still going on.
I said to the others at the start of the show, it could be that we've got players who are coming to the club and their clubs have got to replace them. You just don't know. It's transfers are not simple.
I'm sorry, Ian, but stuff like that should have been dealt with before the transfer window actually opened. All of those. So clubs would know that they're selling their players or players are looking to leave and things like that. It's not just suddenly on the 1st of June. Like they've got to run around.
We did say this. We said Man United are doing business. Why is it we can't? We kind of covered it this time.
Right, sorry. Anyway, I missed the first half. I'll rewatch it. Sorry, Ian.
Yeah, JP just comes in and takes one. Yeah. Listen, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you everyone for watching. Big up the panel. Big up to Ian as well, who had his debut with us. Brilliant having him on.
Yep.
Give us a good insight, a different angle as well. And on that note, we're out of here. Take care. How many Spurs?
Cheers, guys.
Bye now.
Yes.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.